close score lines with some 3-2s going through. And I think this is finally the month where maybe they get a breakaway and take down last month's second place.
Would be quite possible, I feel, as well. Ready, just one spot up for grabs today. Who do you think might rise to the occasion and will represent the South American region in the Brawl Cup?
I don't think you can really argue with SK Kalalis to take this. I mean, they took last month's monthly final. They're looking super, super strong right now.
A little reminder here for all of our viewers, what's on the line in Dallas.
I told you it's going to take like 5 minutes. Let's say they're like...
All regions from across the globe are sending their best champions to prove to us, once and for all...
Yo, Maxi, how are you? Welcome. Hello, Alex.
Which
Is it loud enough?
Best in the world right now. They'll compete for LCQ
Simple,
and
how are
World
you?
Final slots for their home region, altering the competitive landscape for the rest of this year. So prepare your flags. Your
Hello, Muffin. How are
and cheer
you?
on your home region champions.
Yes. Hey, told you. Who keeps ping different first? I wonder
Live
who.
from DreamHack Dallas. Get your tickets now and join the fun in person. Or watch online at event.brawlstars.com for amazing Pro Pass rewards.
The alley to max rank with randoms only. Nice, I like, congrats. Gotta be quicker than that.
For the 6 teams that are already confirmed for Dallas, but also for the 2 that will still follow this weekend, we have some great news, Kenny.
Thank you for the
Big
like,
news, there's now
appreciate
going
it.
to be a third spot. So if you get third place between third and the fourth
First
match,
to
you're
YouTube,
gonna
I
get an
appreciate it,
extra LCQ
Simple.
spot compared
Appreciate
to
for
the
joining
already
the Twitch chat
LCQ
too.
spot
Thank you,
for
thank
second
you.
in that first place coveted world final slot for your region.
You can get your tickets to Dallas now, and the Brawl Stars add-on is available to purchase with any DreamHack ticket. Grab yours and score a goodie bag packed with exclusive merch, such as socks, a pop socket, a keychain, and stickers ready.
Dude, I'm looking at these stickers. I don't know if you're seeing what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a Juan Carlos 0-11 down there. I'm seeing the bull as well. Got the star drop, the spray, and of course, who could forget the spike butt? That is something that you can stick anywhere. You can, I'm not encouraging you to vandalize things. Maybe vandalize your own things with those stickers.
I mean, I'm cracking up, honestly. I didn't notice the sticker until you called it out, but the BSC socks. Gotta rock the BSC socks.
We also have something to look out for
Yeah,
here.
good
We have
luck,
the
Ogito.
seeding for
Hello,
the World
Llama.
Cup
How have you
group
been?
stage
It's been a
ready.
while.
Kenny,
Hope you're doing
Tribe
well.
is not here yet because of the seeding. We'll figure that out tomorrow, right?
Of course, I mean, we've got big stuff to play for today. You see that South America slot on the right-hand end. 1 of 4 teams will be competing for that slot in an already stacked group. It'll be North America's #1 defending world champions, Humble. On the left-hand side, the
You
#1 from
Jimmy.
EMEA, and Zeta Division, of course, being from East Asia. So there's so many good teams playing
Okay,
this up right
Lava.
now.
You're looking at South America. They got 1 spot over here in Group
I
B,
think I'll
playing
finally
against,
start
well,
streaming less
tomorrow's
after
#1
this
and
week
the
and it's
Humble last year's
done
world
and over
champions.
with.
For South America, 4 teams are still in the race and want to represent their region in the Brawl Cup. It's going to be a tight race for that 1 spot we have in this region, Kenny.
Casa Brawl leading the charge right now, but as Reddy mentioned, SKC put on quite the performance last month. BC Gaming on the rise, and Loud, a team that I think a lot of people expected to be more towards the top, currently sitting in 4th.
I
with the
sleep?
biggest
I
key
did
win,
sleep.
and
What do you
if any of
mean?
these 4 teams win the grand finals,
I
they've got to
slept
take it to
plenty.
Dallas.
That's the most realistic scenario for any one of these teams to go ahead and make it to the Brawl Cup. Now, there are like freak accident scenarios. Let's say we see a team make it all the way to the grand finals and there's not another top 4 team there. That would also qualify them for the Brawl Cup, and that's barring any funny business that could just happen in the quarterfinals. If everyone lost in the quarterfinals, it would be Casa Brawl going straight there.
Invade,
See
did you
here
get
in
all
the
your
leaderboard how close
points
those
for
top
doing
4
the
teams
prediction?
still are. Let's have a look at the bracket as well. BC Gaming SA versus Olympus Squad are gonna kick us off today, Kenny. I feel like this could already be a very hype matchup because it's so close between those 2.
Of the 4 regions, this quarterfinal #1 I think is one of the tougher ones for me to predict coming into this because BC Gaming and
I
Olympus
can
Squad,
check.
familiar foes. They've already faced
That
up
kind
before. It's
of
been a
sound,
close
are
call. Olympus Squad have had several
20
3-2
minutes
score
doesn't
lines,
count
and
as
I'm putting a lot of
sleep,
stock in
bro.
them
How
one
did
that
you know I
won
took a
last month,
20-minute
which is
nap?
crazy across the world, so I don't know if that's going to be the norm.
Who told you?
If we're going to go back to what we used to know in Brawl Stars. So I think this is going to be a big decider, especially for those top 4 teams. And like I said, I think Olympus Squad are kind of hovering in that, more 5 to 8 range right now in terms of where they stack, but I definitely think they have the skill to boost themselves up.
I think BC versus Olimpo,
They won your
like,
first
has to be the
final
closest
by
match
Ace
that we
Grand
have today.
Slam.
It's an absolute treat that we get it as our
One
first win,
down.
but
I don't know how
versus
many more to
SK
go,
Koalas could
but
also be
hopefully it goes
interesting.
well
SK
for
Koalas
the
are
rest of
my
them.
expected front runners of the day, and we also saw Zarita Gang take an unexpected win versus Casa in the monthly qualifiers.
Like I mentioned, we never had the same two
I
teams
wanna
in
go
the
to
grand
DreamHack,
final
but I
in this
can't.
region. We also
They're
never
gonna
had
have
the
a
same brawlers
shade
picked up. We have a
keychain.
little overview for you at home. What were the most picked brawlers and the most banned brawlers in the East Asia and EMEA finals?
2 to go. Nice.
Look, we got
nice.
100% on that right hand end. First thing that stands out, Lumi. And I think the common brawler, maybe not be able to utilize her as good as she is, but these pro players know what they're doing. The damage output that Lumi brings is a reason why she has been banned every single
Yo,
set
Thicker,
to
how
date.
you
We'll see if that
look,
changes up in South America. But on the left hand end, Hank has been a real front runner. I mean, a lot of pro teams are starting to use him after his pop off in East Asia. EMEA has picked him up, so I'm curious if that trend will continue for South America and North America.
And I want to draw y'all's attention to someone who I think is missing this month. One of the front runners in the Brawl Stars Meta last month, which was Poco, is completely missing here. He was really good into Lu, which is a high priority ban. He was really weak against B, which is also a high priority ban. Just one of those elements of the ban phase that was difficult to track and has fallen off, I think in large part due to the new map pool that we're working with this month.
That's an actually a
Yo,
very
Shadow,
interesting
how are you?
point. I feel
Welcome.
I expected Poker to come out still, but maybe only on those Brawl Ball maps on Hot Zone. Maybe he's back today since
You
one
did
of the
finish your
modes we
points?
won't see
Nice.
today. We'll get you back
I mean,
a
you're
bit
done
later, though.
until
Kenny, I feel like you and me had a
next
bit of the
month.
same idea for this first matchup. Ready, you and Uber seem to disagree with us. How dare you?
This is true. Yeah. Look. You know, only one of us can be the prediction master at the end of the year,
True.
and I'm willing
Patchy on
to
BC,
take
yeah.
some risks. But honestly, I don't think
Hopefully
BC SA
they
is
do
that
well.
much of a risk. They won this last month. I see where y'all are coming from. Like, Kenny, you already said it. This was a super close match last month.
I think it's a pretty
bet.
50-50 coin toss. I mean, in
clicked
all
the button by
reality,
accident.
in scrims leading up to this, I usually kind of look at it as a
Let's see if the
pass-fail test.
old
If
man
BC
still
Gaming
got
are
it.
letting me
Y'all
down
like
a
the
little more
same
recently
age
with
with
reviewing
Mico.
this month coming into it. So
Wait,
that's part of the
actually, I don't
reason.
even know how
Last month
old
was
you are,
chaotic. It
Gito.
was crazy. They had several 3-2s go their way, so maybe they hit the right side of variance. Maybe they're legit. I don't know, but I'm putting a little
Why
bit
is my
of
stream
stock
ahead
in
of the
what we
actual
saw because last
event
month
at
was just so
Brawl Stars
crazy.
website? Because
For you watching at home, make sure
I'm
to
watching
watch
through
on the
Twitch,
event site
and
during
Twitch
that
generally
broadcast
has
XP, and
less
also
delay
get,
than YouTube,
pin
which
at the
is
end of
what
it
the
for
website is
MVP
on.
votings and trivia questions that not even Ready can answer, and that's a miracle. We also have a little treat for all of us, also my eyes, because I'm super excited to see your drawings.
I'm
We asked
broke,
you to
I'm
capture
broke
your
too.
favorite Brawl esports moments
This is
for
why
players
we
in the
retired
fan
the
art
Twitch streaming.
contest, and you delivered.
And
Each monthly final weekend,
touch
we're
grass
putting
again.
two of them up for a
Actually, I
community
touch
vote
grass,
over
but
on
like
X. We started
not
last weekend, and now it's time for the next
large
two.
quantity
The voting
set
will
at a time.
stay open until Monday, and don't forget the winners score some sweet gems, Kenny.
I mean, if I had some gems in the account right now and those left side ones
Yeah,
were in the
totally.
game,
How
I'd
you?
have a hard time
Okay.
resisting not picking those up to the account. The right side, though, what an iconic moment brought to
Oh,
life in
nah,
this
that's
drawing. Just so many
crazy.
talented people out here already. It's honestly been insane to see the flooding of comments on that tweet.
Dude, gems out of the question. I would pay real money for this one on the right. Like, hang it up somewhere. That is a work of art right there that I think needs to be immortalized in Brawl Stars history and might be immortalized in my living room.
I think Kit is the most featured brawler now in any of the
Need enough for
art,
20? Sounds good,
so far,
Toby.
at least from what we've seen. Again, last weekend.
Honestly, if someone wanted to gift 100 subs, I'd rather them just straight up PayPal me $500.
To kick things off today, we're gonna head right into our very first
This
match of
Twitch
the day.
takes
It's gonna
half
be
of the
BC Gaming
subs.
SA versus Olympus Squad.
BC Gaming coming into the year looking good, and I think one of those teams that a lot of folks like myself were expecting to be
Greedy?
contesting
That's
for that
not being
LCQ
greedy,
spot.
that's
This region
being
was very
real.
predictable last year. We had the Nowcastle
If
Brawl
someone
and
gets
now Loud
100
rosters were
subs,
kind
I
of
get
the
like
top, always
250 from
competing for
that.
grand finals, and now we've had these other teams challenging them, and BC
So
has
wouldn't
certainly
it
been
be
one of them.
better for me to get
On
the
the side
full
of
amount?
BC Gaming, we had a chance to talk to Derp about how they're feeling coming into this month.
I sound so tired right now. Yeah. I mean, I slept, but I didn't get that much sleep. Twitch takes 50% of subs. Okay, though.
O pessoa que motiva a equipe quando tá ruim, Doritos. E o que não é, que é o analista e manager.
Time for kick.
A gente gente é amigos próximos e sempre que tá perto de
Maybe
alguma
if I get
partida
into the
no
little
Mundial,
partner
eu vou
program
pra
where it
São
only
Paulo
counts for actual
pra ficar
viewers instead
junto
of
na casa
subs.
e treinar junto durante a semana, antes da qualify.
Some interesting insights from him and our
You'll
lovely
beat
production
us,
team
sorry.
has
Welcome,
once
welcome.
again prepared for us a
What,
checklist.
eh?
What has to happen in order for BC Gaming to make it into Brawl Cup, Kenny?
Well, they got to beat Olympo squad again. And then on that second one, assuming it's SKC, a little bit of a revenge tour possibility after last month's grand finals. But again, something I'm going to point to for all of the 4 teams that have a chance at Brawl Cup. Win and in. And I'm going to keep saying it because honestly, that's just the winning mentality you have to have. You can't worry about the nitty gritty. You don't want to get lucky and have a bunch of teams lose on
Don't
your
let
behalf.
Birds
So you
earlier
make it,
think
you
it'll
want
be
to take
another
hands
IG with
and
just
destiny
what
into
people
your
just
own
promote their own.
terms and just win
Oh,
outright. And
nah.
BC Gaming certainly
I
got
never
that chance
actually
today.
got it because I didn't really see a
They're capable,
reason to
but
get it.
last month they had quite a bit of trouble set.
We have history repeating itself since Olympus Squad is standing on the other side of BC Gaming once again. And we had the same exact match already last month in the quarterfinal. So it's a rematch and a little bit of a revenge for Olympus Squad ready.
Yeah, I think Olympus squad, they're also probably feeling quite good about this one too, because they took this one to double match point last month. I think this is a very capable team. I'm quite concerned, honestly, for BC Gaming SA because this is actually not necessarily the easiest, but it's the
I just like
you know,
TikTok, yeah.
the opponent that they're facing here is the
It died off actually like really fast. It died off like I don't think it made it more than like a week
we
or
have a
two.
little bit of a rematch going on here for the quarterfinals.
People
Once
only
again,
really
it's
went
BC
over
Gaming
there
versus
because it was
Olympus Squad.
supposed to be
Now,
Twitter
Kenny,
but better.
you say Olympus Squad can turn it around
But
today?
I really do think so. I think the
That
squad's had
didn't
so many
happen.
close calls throughout the year. I think they've got the potential. I like what I've seen in previous months.
Yo,
I mean,
Mix,
month number
you missed
1,
the 3 rewards?
they had a
That'll be
good
your
win
light
there
work.
in the opening round, beating SKC, who ended up winning in that month. Number 2, lost to Casa Brawl, which I think is very respectable. in this region.
Alright.
And obviously last
How
month
about
had
you?
a 2-3 loss, and you can see the scoreline there. A lot of 2-1s. I mean, we nearly played the maximum amount of Brawl Stars possible in a match, which is pretty crazy. So I do think these teams are pretty even. The scrims would say about the same. So yeah, I'm willing to put my Pro Pass XP on the line here. I'll take a little gamble on Olympus squad and see if they can shake things up in the region.
And now
Looking
the
forward to
stage
this.
is set, the teams are ready, and we know what's on the line. The last slot for the Brawl Cup here in the South American region. All we need still are the maps and ready. Talk us through. Why are we not seeing any heists this weekend, by the way?
Yeah, that's right, because we had an update drop just the beginning of this last week that changed Heist pretty fundamentally, and that would be a bit much of an ask for our players to, as them play
They
this
drop it
mode
right
that
now,
is
it's
now
crazy.
changed in such a serious way. So don't worry, it's now cleared
You
out of the
drunk
map
on
pool. We're
wine?
playing the other maps that they have
I
prepared
had
to play, so all
like
is
a
well in
sip
Brawl
of
Stars.
wine.
For now, it's clear.
Like a week
I'm
ago
sure we're
now.
gonna get it back next
maybe
month
if,
in
like,
that new and
4
shiny
days ago.
look, and I'm super excited to see if the meta will shift yet again.
It was
Talking
alright,
about
not my
meta,
favorite. I
I'm
think
super excited to head
I don't
into our first
mind
match because I'm
was it
sure
Stella
we're gonna see
Rose,
some Lumi
but
today, right?
the other ones are
No,
meh.
you won't. I'd be surprised.
sad.
I know. I think even in
Are
Bounty,
those squads
it is
gonna win
gonna
this
show up. I
one?
mean,
I don't
genuinely,
think so.
100% ban rate. Every set we
Rotten
played last
Pancake, how
weekend,
you
it
doing?
was banned. Very good brawler, but some other ones on the line too. I do think Carl shows up in the mix a little bit here. Gene could be in the ban stage. Some sharp shooters unfolding. So I do think we have potential to see some crazy ones. Sonny, I'd be surprised if we saw Lumi. It really would. It would shock me.
Honestly, I would be shocked too. Not so shocked I am about the predictions from the viewers at home. Most of them are saying BC Gaming is going to take this match today. So Kenny, you got to stay strong here. It is pretty much a 50-50 this one, I feel. It was a 3-2
Right
last
now,
month.
yeah, that's
Probably another
exactly
close
why I
match
get
today.
though.
Heading into draft now.
It's so hot.
And I'm super set ready. Lumi is in fact banned out here. Byron is going to be the first pick from Olympus Squad. Makes a lot of sense here as most other long-ranged options are out of the way here really with Angelo
Millions,
banned
yeah,
out.
I've seen
Fell.
that too,
What you
Striker.
could still pick, I guess, is Piper, for example, could be an
Shit.
option.
That's why I'm gonna
I think Piper's
retire
super
and
strong right now,
start doing.
but you also need to be concerned about like that aggression that could be coming out on this map. Something that we've seen on Hideout repeatedly is sending a Byron on from our perspective, that's going to be the left lane, up with like a Max or something. There's the Piper, as you called out, Sonny. But I'm still concerned for like what they're going to do into this kind of aggression. Buster's going to be a fantastic option for fending them off, especially with this hyper charge that pretty much charges for free just by standing next to enemies.
You're going to see Buster be a very popular brawler today, and EMEA and EA was something that showed up a ton, and it's mostly due to that hypercharge that you were mentioning it, because he can charge it passively and get that super just by being close to teammates, tank trait, all that jazz. It's just going to be so helpful. Just the stat boost that you get as well as the raw power for Buster really helps out. That's why you see him so much, especially in things like Knockout where everybody's only got one life, but it can still work here. Nani's where my brain goes next, though. I think anytime, especially on Shooting Star right now, when I've seen pro players have an opportunity to counter the other sharpshooters, I think you take it. One other brawler, that was the other one I was about to say. Max is on the line here too. I think when I see Piper, especially as popular of a brawler Max is in this region, on this map in particular, doesn't surprise me at all. So we're gonna get a nice, well-rounded composition here. Byron, Max, Piper, all some of the more, I would say, higher play rate brawlers here, and Nani just makes a lot of sense as a counter.
I think what Olympus squad have right now
They might go like
makes a lot
Lola
of
or
sense
something.
as a way to like deal with Piper.
I don't
That
think
brawler
that's the
should be
best
having
pick, but it's the
very
first to
tough
come to
time in all
mind.
of this.
Melody.
I was kind of expecting that
Fair
Piper
enough.
to struggle already. As soon as you see the Byron, you have to be considering that Max running up the lane.
You
Melody,
wish you
as an
were a
assassin
Finn
here,
boy?
the objective
What's
is
stopping
going
you?
to be to get that damage to Nanny and to Byron as well. Now you're going to have to be lining up those shots in order to even earn your super, and that probably won't be that
What do you
much
mean
of an
beat
issue on the
us?
Max,
I had to
because
catch the
Melody does have the
Pokemon,
range
so
advantage.
I
It's
couldn't
gonna
catch
be
it in
skill
my own
matches as
chat, so I
well,
opened
because
access
Max,
stream on
one
my
thing she
phone and I
specializes
threw a
in is
Pokeball.
her evasive maneuvers, denying the shots and that supercharge as she dodges your shots.
The battle of Max versus sharpshooters is something that'll be eternal in Brawl Stars. It's always super entertaining to watch. Step 1 of Brawl Cup for BC Gaming begins here. Match number 1 of the day versus Olympus Squad, and what was one of our tightest ones of the previous month to start things out. Doritos brought to low HP. Loco grabs a
I don't
blue
know if
star.
I like the
For now,
melody
everybody will
pick
sit
here,
comfortably
but
rest as
let's
Loco's
see
gonna
how
try
it
and charge up
works.
that passive super we mentioned in the draft stage.
Olympus squad are looking to find their sort of stronghold here on the right.
Jesus,
before they
had a
launch the
long
offensive.
time
Here
ago,
comes
it's
Wesley looking for the
crazy.
kill on Dirt. Sort of a preemptive return to Cinder fired off. It's not going to get him the kill on the Dirt. It's a little comical, honestly, how much Nanny is capable of countering Piper, but you got to have that return to Cinder ready, and it's going to take him a bit longer to charge that up. For the time being, though, BC Gaming SA are really holding their ground.
Just a left versus right battle. All the walls still up. There's a lobbing of the super coming in from Ice Crow, but now Loco stares him in the eyes, gets the pull Doritos with the opening shot as well. That will be the first kill. A response, though, and another return as well. Doritos diving in to try and save a teammate. Loses one, but they do grab the kill, so they're going to secure a nice little 4-star cushion here.
Olympus squad are trying to encircle their opponent, but that has the adverse effect of stretching your defensive line thin to where you can get completely isolated. And right now, Olympus squad, they're sort of separated on this right side. They're still going to try and get some aggression from the top side. They know that they're facing Loco, who has his hypercharge ready to go. He's going to go for the aggression onto Wesley, blocking everything off.
That's crazy,
Doesn't get
bro.
the kill, but he did get a bit of movement. In the meantime, a wall is broken open on the left side that disrupts the defense.
I still don't
that
think I
BC
like the
Gaming
melody
SA is
pick.
capable of on the left side. They only have a
I think I
one-star
would have
advantage
preferred
right
to
now.
see a Lola here.
I think Loco really thought they were going to be able
Or
to grab
Pearl.
that kill, so Nani Peep goes straight into the wall. They open things up, but more importantly, they stay alive and grab a kill for themselves. There's another super coming out. The montage going down right-hand side, which is great in defending against these sharpshooters, but here comes the speed. Coway, left-hand side. Doritos dashing all of the red roster, trying to move in on this team. They need at least one kill, and for now, Doritos will disengage. Derp tagged up. Super goes down, avoids Derp.
He
but
helped-
will narrowly
he helps
survive.
with the,
Doritos won't crawl either, so
great
BC Gaming
space.
hold on in game number
They
1.
they hard
They got it
focused
locked
him.
down.
They should have
It did
just
look a
benched
little
him.
bit scary once that wall was broken open, and maybe that'll be a priority for Nanny in the next round, considering that Nanny is here specifically to deal with the Piper. Let's not forget that fact. But the utility of breaking open the wall will allow them to much better deal with this Buster, who pretty much plants himself in the position on the left side and cannot be moved. He's using his health to get that blue start. Didn't look like Olympus squad were too focused on getting that damage on him to begin with. Instead, trying to pressure Derp, which unfortunately they just have not succeeded at all.
Once again, Loco gonna go right next to Doritos and just try and slowly charge up that super. Having a montage is so next into these projectile brawlers, which is something you're gonna commonly see in Bounty and Knockout today. I think this is only just the beginning for him. Derp with a nice little tap. Cowie getting aggressive though, goes for the phase shift, encroaches on Derp's territory, but won't get more than that. So it's still all even in our east-west battle.
I did sleep. I did sleep.
Wesley
Wait, what do you
simply
mean?
looking for his in. If he can get some damage onto Derp, that would be ideal. But it doesn't look like Olympus squad are really geared up
Another
to deal
first
with any of
round
this aggression
exit.
from Doritos or Loco, who are simply
Only
leveraging
time
the
I've had a
walls.
first round
Once he's sort of faced
exit
with the
was
decision,
when I
does he break
went
open
against
this
like
wall? What is he gonna
Bilal
use his super for?
Rafiki.
He's in a safe
first
position,
round.
so he can get some damage that way. Doritos is quite
And
low.
one time
Looked for the
Yo-Yo
synergy,
X
but
to
couldn't
join
get
the
it off.
Trino
And
last
Loco had
second,
the
and we
super
went
ready
against
just
them.
in time to keep Doritos safe, but they're not done yet. Here comes the speed in. BC Gaming SA are in a comfy
5-star
position. Loco
cook for
has that
shelter.
hypercharge, but he has yet to earn the super. It's gonna be coming
EMEA
online
was
quite
last
soon
week,
here,
you
but he
stupid
might not even
monkey.
need it.
What would it
Doritos
be right
escapes
now?
with a kill.
I don't mind this Melody matchup, especially into the Nani, because normally Return to Cinder is one of Nani's best utilities, and it's just not going to happen with the little projectiles there. Not going to be nearly as effective. Buster tag teams with Doritos, and they'll pick up another star. Going to be 5-0. I mean, Olympus Squad just really haven't gotten the ball rolling in the kill category. What a beautiful reflection, too.
I didn't know
Nicely done with the
Buster Shield
montage there.
can block
Olympus Squad
Nani
cannot break up this
super.
defense from BC Gaming.
It makes
Here comes
sense,
Hyper.
but I
He's
never
looking
thought
for
about
that.
it before.
Had one, couldn't get a second or a follow-up, so he's going to be missing out on some damage there. Now he's going to have some sort of escape for when this final aggression comes in. 10 seconds to go. Doritos has that hyper ready to move. There's one kill. Looking for
he's
another on
playing it
Wesley.
well, though.
Denied. Need a kill here. It's only a 2-star separator. 2 seconds to go. Dorito takes it.
He played
with
it
the
well
Spawn
on the
invincibility shield. And BC Gaming SA cleanly take away set 1.
You just
That was
got
a
clipped by
great heads-up
Yo-Yo and
play there
linked
with the
on
respawn
that
that you
title.
called out. Just being able to defend against the Nani
That's
hypercharge
unfortunate.
was a good decision to pop the Nani hypercharge. They had no chance
About to
of
get
blocking it
swept
up
in
there,
your
so
mix
just
save.
had to go for something. But to your point,
Did I even show
overall,
up?
definitely disappointed in
What if I
Olympus
fall
Squad there.
asleep?
I mean, that game number 2 got a little bit closer, but it never really felt like it left the hands of BC Gaming.
Was it really closer though? It was super clean up until like the last 10 seconds maybe. I really feel like BC Gaming had the better comp in this one. They also played it to perfection. And same thing we already saw.
Nah,
with Small
Striker,
Advance.
you gotta
BC
remember,
Gaming
I don't
already
have zero
took the
ping.
first set
Sometimes
in
I don't
March,
think about
and
the
now they
zero
do the
ping
same again
brawlers.
last month. It was a bit of a back and forth though. Set number 2 taken by Olympo, set number 3 taken by BC Gaming, and so forth. So I'm super excited to see how this match will still continue already.
There's not a doubt in my mind that Olympus Squad
You
are a
retired
very
Ash?
capable
Oh, that's
team,
unfortunate.
right? But BC Gaming, I think they got a reminder of just who exactly they're dealing with. A team that could take them all the way down to the wire in the quarterfinals, and you cannot really sacrifice any like possible things like that when you're looking for Brawl Cup at the end of the road. You have to play this one to perfection.
You have to play it well, mechanic skills are asked from you, and also draft is a very important factor in the current meta, but overall as well. I do feel like draft maybe makes up like a 60% win condition already.
Maybe
and then
stream,
also
how you
have to
gonna
play it
fall
pretty well. We
asleep?
did see some teams even
Because
win
I
the
didn't
monthly
sleep.
final, even though they
I
had
mean,
the
I
worst
slept,
draft.
but
I
not that
definitely feel
much.
like it's possible.
Because,
Now, for our next map,
because
we're gonna
someone...
head into last stop. A bit of a more pushy map on the lanes. We have Carl come in here very often thanks to the heat ejector gadget. He's so good just to keep that area control. And then for mids, you could still come in with those long-ranged options. Ready? Who would you put as your champ carrier in this map?
I'm thinking of something like an 8-bit, right? Now, you have to be aware of some of these other brawlers that are pretty good into him, especially like in the early game. You also got to be wary of things that can come up like the side lane and disrupt your turret. But as long as you have some solid things, I don't think really anything can compete with the ability to go in, pick up a gem, teleport back, damage boost, speed, range, damage. Again, I mean, he just can do so much.
We have a Chester's first pick here from the side of BC Gaming. Lumi, once again, banned out. I don't think we have to mention it for the rest of the day because that's just going to be the case for the rest of the day, I feel. But okay, Chester, a lot of area control. A great option for your lanes here. Probably, yeah, one of the best ones, actually. You have a lot of range, you have a lot of area control. So I do like that pickup now. Olympus Squad with pick number 2 and 3. Finks is going to be the first one. Something we surprisingly don't see that often, Penny.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's
I
just
like
up a handful of
how
times. On last
X
stop,
makes
it
you play
was
band
scrimmed quite a
stabby.
bit. I think it's not at the top of people's list. Surprisingly, some of these band stage ones are going to be more that. Chester, probably the most common first pick, I would say, on this map right now. Just given all the tanks, anti-tank gets a huge priority. And they're just going to completely go in a different direction already. We're going to go for 8-bit, which was your mid of choice that you mentioned as one of the great options we could have. But then
Just
this
play Chester and say, little brother, how'd it go?
It's really interesting.
Yeah, the combo is one thing. I think that it'll help 8-bit when
Oh,
in
no, yeah, I'm
short
playing B.
battles where he can fall a little bit short, like into something like a Piper. If you're playing 8-bit, you're practically like begging to get 3 taps.
Yeah.
I think
Let's
Finks is
look
just
for
one of
Vay.
the best brawlers when it comes to,
You know
have a
who the
lane
person
that
I'm
you can
referring
use
to
get
that
the
kept me
enemy
up?
side, and then you disrupt an enemy sniper at mid. I think he's a phenomenal brawler. Now, if BC Gaming SA decide to not go that route, it's going to be a bit of a different story, but it's not like he's a one-trick pony. He has a bunch of other stuff in his kit. Max, okay, so Finks is not going to be really doing much against that. So Olympus Squad might have to shift gears here because they're going to have an 8-bit mid into a Max that should be dodging quite a lot of those shots. You also have Stu that can flex on in the mid too.
Ooh, the Charlie. Charlie, a popular one last week, and I guess verdict's still out because we still haven't played through all of our monthly finals yet. But I did.
There's a reason we kept up. That's not why it was up.
There's some regions, especially East Asia, that really felt like this brawler got a big jump. So her supercharge rate was tanked, so it goes from 7 shots now 6 shots, which is a good thing. She got a buff. But to me, I feel like it's still more of a quick stop brawler, not necessarily a hard counter to a lot of these brawlers. I wasn't impressed with it. Had about a 33% win rate last weekend, so room to grow. But again, just the numbers and what I saw with my eyes didn't really line up. So I'm curious to see how this works out for Olympus Squad.
Good shout.
I have not received those yet, Sam. Unfortunately.
Was sort of hoping that he'd actually be on that Stu lane because the spiders here.
Are you good? I'm chilling, Sam. How about you?
And that's a pretty spammable gadget. You're able to soak up.
I don't know if I like Finks on this map, to be honest.
Though you are competing at similar range. As long as Wesley can hold this lane, then he's pretty much winning because it's really just all about protect the president over here, let Kawe do his thing. Loco's already got 5 gyms though.
Heavy, you act like you weren't just playing like a month ago. What do you mean?
Dominating the left-hand end, and with the Spiderlings is going to do great into a lot of single-shot brawlers, which was where I see players use it. So brawlers like Stu, who technically not a single shot, but obviously a low amount of damage output into those Spiderlings, the Bee, Piper, any of those kinds of brawlers, kind of what we're looking for, chat.
Look at that low Finks too. Holy shit. I wish.
Ice Crow with a nice gadget to keep himself alive for only a moment longer.
Ice Crow.
Loco's reduced to low health, not an issue. The Jawbreaker out from Doritos. But thankfully, Kawe came to just in time to gadget back to his
Oh
teleport.
no.
We'll see Ice Crow taken down on the right side by Doritos. As soon as he jumped in, a super wasted.
I might sound like a robot.
Right now. They don't have control here.
I don't know.
Out from 8-bit now.
Do I sound like a robot to anyone else?
A little extra speed going BC's way. They will hold on to this narrow lead, but it's a huge.
All you do, they had something to do with it. I mean, yeah, but not what Sim said.
Is absolutely devastating the enemy team. Hypercharge going out for Loco. Now distributing
okay, mate.
One of the best in the game right now. It's the Chester Hypercharge covering that area, dispersing a little gas, and making it so difficult for Olympus Squad.
I sound sleepy. I am,
making a crazy play here,
I'm alright right now.
The greed from the guy was ultimately his demise, but thankfully Doritos has got gem number 9 and all the ones left on the ground by Loco. This
You
is
was
a strength,
sleeping.
having numerous brawlers
You told me
that
to get
can
you
play
up.
a decent sizable
So I
range.
tried.
Dirt, snap
I tried my
his
hardest.
Hypercharge now going for the back cap to take down Kawe.
Crazy,
He's got
Ogito.
another ready to come online, looking for as much
Oh,
damage
this is
as
a close
possible.
game.
They do have mid control, and they should be able to get this next gym and tie up the countdown, which they do.
State? My
They have
state
no
is in
turret,
Maryland.
and they're gonna have to fend off this next speed in from Loco.
Yo, Mythical, how are you?
That's one of the reasons Max is drafted so much. The speed for a little
No,
extra
Red
momentum
team,
boost.
I
Kawe
feel like
back
should
into the
win
mid.
this
Those Stu
low-key.
flanking an Ice Crow, trying to deal with Max hiding in the grass. Stu at the top, but teleport away and a reset immediately. This one's gonna go the distance. Ready?
It's going to come down to what Derp can do on this recon mission on the back left side. He's going to have to somehow enable Loco to push forward. Wesley is at risk of dropping his gem. Loco's forced to use this gadget, but he has that speed and decided not to use the
You needed to
hypercharge.
sleep
Have
anyway.
to use it now.
Let's be
Pop
real.
it. Don't drop it. Everyone's alive.
Oh,
Olympus
wow.
Squad trying to stay in the game, and they do it. Even with that Chester bomb coming in the last second, Olympus Squad with game 1.
That's as close as it gets, and there was a couple
Heavy.
instances
She was
there that
here,
swung the tide Olympus
but she's
Squad's
lurking
way.
now.
You mentioned it with the max hypercharge. I found that
Actually,
interesting.
she's not on
Not
the
to use
viewer
it with
list.
the
Maybe
super
she's not
could have been a
lurking.
mistake.
Thank you for
things
like
happen,
that.
but more importantly, a big time couple cocoons there towards the end of the game. They grabbed those kills, got themselves in a 3-2 spot.
I'm alright,
That's how they got that
Mythical.
13th gym and were able to back away. At that point, the clock wasn't a factor. I don't think BC Gaming had time to grab 2. They could have gotten 1, but not enough to tie things up without a kill. And then it was just left to Olympus Squad to hold on there to the very end. They barely survived.
I think BC Gaming SA still did a good job of getting those first 5 gems because Olympus Squad couldn't pick up anything until they had that 8-bit turret down, which is going to be coming soon. Kawe just got it. He's looking for a good position. Now he's got the speed and the damage, but Loco has some speed online as well. Now Derp is going to be slowed down here on the right side thanks to that gadget from Charlie. And now that she doesn't have it anymore, it could be time to go aggressive. He's going to look for it and gets the kill, especially with the help of Doritos. Kawe now also getting gem number 2. Olympus Squad get to get some momentum here now that they have that 8-bit turret down.
I like that the BC Gaming side sent all of their brawlers right to kind of help with that Charlie lane, because as you mentioned, it's a favorable one into the Stu. And so rather than leaving Stu on his own and let him drown, they actually sent the full team to go assist, grab that kill, but it's not paying off here. 2 members go down, a little max speed
I
to
have
get them
no
back
idea,
in the mix.
Con.
Wexley
That's
holding
not
onto a super
any
here.
of
The
my
other team might
concern,
not
I'm
know
not
this, and
gonna lie.
Chester falls victim to it first. The Spiderlings to cover him up. He's just trying to win this lane, and he does. A little
Oh,
assistance
that
from
was a
Callaway, and
good
BC
pick from the
just
8-bit.
trying to find some footing right now.
They cannot seem to find that once again, but Derp gets an aggro play on the right side and an elimination on Wesley. Now
Did he
looking for the
mean to
flank
put it
on
on that
Callaway,
side?
but
Or
falls
did he want to
short on
put it
those
behind the
shots,
wall?
especially due to the range of his shot versus 8-bit. We'll see Loco also reduced to low health. Gonna
I
have
don't
to
know.
play quite
Both
defensively versus
things
Ice Crow
seem like
here,
a
who's gonna pop the gadget
possibility.
and come back with even more ammunition to fire away. BC backed into
Tired
this
of
right
the
corner.
headache?
They have no
I wonder
control over
why.
this left side. A missed hypercharge on the right from Wesley, but he's still going to keep control with a kill onto Derp. And Limpo's squad now are going to get gem number 10 and a countdown active.
They're not
Doritos
resetting
ran the
this.
risk. He jumped the launch pad and had the stun ready to go, but missed it. Now he falls to 145 HP, and Coway in the mid, even repping a pin, feeling confident right now. No max super in sight.
The
No
things
Stu
did well.
super in sight. Doritos with 2 low of HP to get to the other end. Olympo squad queen up in game
Aren't there
number
servers
2,
in
and now takes the
Texas?
3 with the
Oh, for
I'm liking
NA?
that from Olympus squad. I think they
Yeah,
held
for
on
NA,
super well.
the
I think they
competitive
also
server is
were quite intelligent
Dallas.
about how they had these lanes set up. I think also what we saw from BC Gaming is that they struggled to find the right lane matchups. Towards the end of the game, it was repeatedly running to the same lane where Stu is going to shoot those same 3 Charlie Spiders every single time.
I mean, I don't want to say anything, but I'm going to do it anyways. I kind of saw that one coming, no? I mentioned that it was the same exact story already last month. We have BC Gaming taking set number 1, now Olympus Squad turning things around in this one. Once again, a draft was very good from both of those teams, but they followed your advice already, picked up the 8-bit, and it worked wonders for them.
I love the 8-bit here. I think it's such a strong selection. You look at BC Gaming SA and they really have not chosen a single response to it. I think they were like concerned about getting pigeonholed into something that deals with 8-bit and is weak in other departments, but really like 8-bit just by kills, by gems, he's a star of the show, but
Is
the
there
support
ping
that he
still?
was getting
Yeah,
from his
exactly,
lanes was
Con.
just remarkable.
Well,
I
it
think Wesley
depends
was
on how
moving to
good
the
your
right
Wi-Fi
time on
is.
so many different
But
occasions. I think
yeah,
Ice Crow
you
did
should
an
get like,
incredible job of
is there a
playing this
ping?
Finks as well. No one wanted to approach that left lane towards like the last half of game 2, at least on BC Game.
Bro,
Gonna
watch
have a
my
lot of
gameplay.
speed on one side
Thank you,
with the Maxi,
Tabby.
then a lot of DPS, huge damage.
I will
over
be
to
playing
the other
West,
side
though.
with the slowest walking brawler in the game.
I need to.
And seems like speed wasn't as important in this round now. I do feel like speed could help you on Bell's Rock to either close the gap between yourself and your opponents, or you just go with a little bit of a glass cannon here, go more towards those long-ranged options, like the Bell, like the Piper, the Angelo, some brawlers that we see very often on this map. Throwers, an option as well. And then something we saw sometimes come in as well was a Gray, for example. Just something to teleport to your opponents. And let's see if it's going to be picked up in SA as well. The most picked brawler last
Sunny,
month was
yes,
Juju,
Sunny is here.
and I feel like she would be
Bell's
pretty strong on
Rock.
this map as well.
I feel like I've seen him cool down on the Juju a little bit maybe compared to last month, but definitely still in the cards here. I think Gray, like you mentioned, certainly in the equation. I think maybe even the band stage, to be honest with you. Yeah, there you can see it, top left-hand side. Ollie on the right was one that was standing out to me. If that escapes the band stage, I think it's a serious contender. Where I'm curious to see what happens is if Hank is the top brawler choice here. I've seen him first pick quite a bit in other regions. I think the kind of sentiment on him is a little divided depending on what
Angel
teams you
won,
ask and things like that.
fine.
But in EMEA, it seemed to pull through a lot. In EA, it pulled through a lot. But right here, they're going to go with old reliable. It's just going to be sharpshooter Angelo, which I'm never going to be too upset with.
I like Angelo. Angelo, he's able to shoot through walls if he needs. He's able to jump away if he needs. Is quite flexible depending on what you end up facing. And he just pumps out so much damage in those individual shots. It's quite a skill-dependent brawler, though, because you don't get to fire off that many in quick succession. Really, you don't get to fire off any in quick succession. So you got to make each one count. Now, how's
Wait,
the
who is
squad
it?
gonna
Is
respond to this long-range
ready?
brawler? How about we construct a big wall?
I didn't even.
Now,
I wasn't
we
paying
also
attention to
mentioned,
the
like, Gray,
casters,
Gray's
but I
banned
can
out
hear
here,
ready
but
right now.
there's other play that you can get with the
It's
Mico
why
here. A
you're
lot of
not
times
Kai's in
strategy
that.
is, okay, we'll put
I
some
mean,
bots
Kai's in that
and
doesn't have to
hold
worry
it,
about
and
ads because he
no
gets
holes in the
hundreds
table.
of thousands
But
of
you can still
subs.
fire over a wall. And
I
think the
cannot
Olympus
relate to
squad are
that.
keeping that in the back of their heads because they do have that last pick, which is the strongest position to actually pick up a throw.
He runs a shit ton
Hank
still?
gonna be the
Oh,
next choice.
I didn't
think
know
it
that,
just
to be
synergizes
honest.
so
I
well
don't
with
watch
Mico.
his
It's
streams.
something that was a trend that I noticed last weekend is when you drop the cube castle that you
Only look at
well, Hank
clips.
does really well into that. If you trap an enemy inside the walls, Hank gets a free shot at them, and that's one of the harder things for Hank to do is just to close the distance between a foe. He does so much lethal damage if you can get there. Kit combos are still open, though, I will say. It's something in South America they haven't given up on. I don't think it's entering the ban stage quite as much as it has in months past, but it's definitely an option. And when I see that Daryl, real possibility that this fifth one could be a kit. Doesn't have to be, but I think it's part of the equation, possibly.
That'd be pretty grimy.
Daryl
I think you
into
also limit yourself
Meeple.
on, like, your flexibility
I
there with
don't
that
know
kit,
if I
because
like
Olympus
that, I'm
Squad
not
can
gonna
totally
lie.
go last pick that is good into the kit. Hank also going to be pretty good in that kit, because if you jump on that Hank, then
Crazy
you're getting
tabby.
8,000 damage or something to the face just by him getting a super.
They
push.
really
Like,
do
let's
go
face it, he's
Daryl
gonna
kit
get one.
crazy.
But they've committed to it, because really, like, what else are you running with the Daryl on this map? Once again, though, I mean, it's like on the table. It's fair play, but it's kind of grimy, and it's one of those like combos that has been played into so many different times.
Me and
Judging
Kaisen
by the
are
expression on
literally the
Ice
same
Press face,
skin.
though, I don't know if he's particularly enthused.
It's hard for a pro player to love seeing that on the other end. Buster, okay. Well, this is interesting because
Why do you pick Buster into a Daryl kit? I don't
But
understand.
I think when you're looking at the left-hand side and you see a really, really passive strategy, you know, Kit's going to be sitting around, Daryl's just going to be waiting to get a super. They're kind of matching it, no? I mean, they're going to go Buster on this right-hand end. I feel like you either have to get hyper-aggressive and stop them before they get the train rolling, or you just do the same thing, wait till the end game, you hope your brawlers are a little bit better. They've got Angelo on that left-hand side that's got the decent long range. They got the Meeple Hank who can press the walls. This is going to be really interesting to see how this goes down, especially towards the early games.
I think Olympus Squad are going to have to be pretty intentional about protecting their Meeple in the early game, but I don't think we'll be seeing any invis from Doritos. Already, BC Gaming SA turtling up in this back bush. They just need to get those supers charged up for free, but they are finding themselves backed into the corner. No one's trapped in that bush. Olympus Squad continue to aggress forward. Ice Crow getting 2, and already it's a 1 round for
I'm not
Olympus
cord.
Squad.
I was
They picked
thinking
off
that
1,
too.
Doritos, Derp, all
But
the way back in the corner.
it's
This kit
working,
comp isn't not
so
working.
Yeah, we got my answer
fair
immediately.
enough.
You know, I was like, is it going to be a slow start? Is it going to be a fast start? No, they went for it, and I respect it. The pull there got them 2 easy tags for Hank. The Meeple gadget allowed them to move forward. Nicely done, because like you mentioned, kit combos are cheesy. Let's just call it how we see it. You charge the kit super, then you go with the Daryl, you roll in, you get tags, and that's exactly what we're going to see in round number 2. Now that they've got the utility, it's still not
holy,
enough,
Daryl got
damage, and now it's a
melted.
3v1. They erased BC Gaming side.
Derp is the last man standing, and he does not have the DPS to do this. Just doesn't
Nah,
have the
yeah,
tools in the
melted
toolkit.
there. That's
one
crazy.
for Olympus Squad, and one
You
of
just
the
don't
more
have the same
dominant
investment for South
dominations
America
that
because
we've
I don't know
seen
most of these people.
of the
That's
kit
fair.
Daryl combination. I'm not really
I
sure
just
what the
stream
plan
it
was.
because it's free
Do we just have
content,
Angelo try and long
and I
range
said I was
things?
gonna
Not particularly
stream
expecting
this
Olympus
weekend
Squad to
anyway.
just, stay put
So
on the
here we
lanes and
are.
go like, well, I wonder where they are. I guess we'll just have to wait for them to play the lanes.
It's really interesting. We'll see if they get aggressive again. I think BC Gaming have to change things up here. No, it just was so unsuccessful in that opening game. So they need
You
some
say
halftime
they need to
adjustments.
change
I
things
think
up, but how do they
stepped forward a
change
little
things
bit,
up
but
here?
that's what's so difficult about Hank
I think
right now.
this
With
is
all these
just a
walls in
set
the map,
loss.
no way to destroy them, and now a Meeple gadget, easy
Oh,
tags.
good jump.
Derp jumps
Good
out,
jump.
but Cowie's just
It
gonna
doesn't
spam
matter,
shots.
but that was a
Oh
good jump.
my goodness, they eradicate the whole side. BC Gaming are falling like flies.
It's our first
Like,
quarterfinal,
what-
and this still
what
might
can you
be the
even
quickest set
do?
that we see today. If Olympus Squad can replicate the success that they've seen for the last 3 rounds in a row. Though Derp has gotten his super up, he won't be able to get in there now thanks to the mansions of Meeple appearing. Ability to shoot through walls now coming online. We'll see Loco and Doritos coming in. Wesley falls. Down goes Ice Crow, and it's just Kawe still alive. But he does have the super. He's going to use it to get some health back. Maybe ideally would have kept that for the next round. He's a little bit closer to having that ability now.
You should have
but
saved that, to
have
be
that in
honest.
close range against Kid and Daryl would have been one of the best defenses that Olympus Squad possess.
Now
Do I
they're
still
gonna
play
change their
Brawl?
strategy, too.
Yeah, I
think
do.
BC Gaming have 3 supers
I didn't
available.
play
They're
yesterday.
hiding. They don't want to go any further. 2 purple buttons available for BC as well, I might add.
Actually, no, I did
Angelo
play
has his
yesterday,
traveling
but,
hypercharge, and Daryl
like,
most certainly
not-
can bring the heat. Kawe rotating to the left-hand side as well. Wesley and Ice Crow stick
played
together. This is going to be really interesting. We haven't
Friday
seen a
night,
game or
if
round
that makes
even go this
sense.
long yet, so this is going to interact very differently than what we've
I
seen in
mean,
the past.
Seems like the strat is just, you know, keep
Friday
Derp from getting too aggro on
morning,
that left side,
bro.
coming into the flank. At the same
I'm
time
so
as getting this
cooked.
hypercharge for
Friday
Ice Crow,
morning.
'cause he already has that super, but if you can give him additional damage, speed,
Whenever
like
my
take
last
trade
stream
as
was,
well,
I
that's going to
played.
be instrumental. And he has it now. So Kawe BR ideally would get a super pretty soon. They're going to try and trap Loco. Unsuccessful. It'll take a little while before that gadget comes back for Wesley, but now they're going to have to
I still
defend
need to
against
do
double
Mega Pig. I
hypercharge
don't
here it
want to
comes.
though.
Purple button's going down, and it's going to be Buster who falls victim this time. Kawe, low HP. Hypercharge goes down for Hank, and now it's a 2v3 situation. A big time bubble, though. Wesley connects as well, and Derp is trapped.
Nah, that
Nowhere
was
to
so
walk.
good.
It's going to be a duel against the
That was
Fog,
so
and the second
good.
That house opened up. They got the easy
There's an
tag.
A
Well
tier in the
played,
chat,
Olympo
by the way.
squad there. I think great adjustments in that game number 2, so a little bit of credit to BC Gaming for that. But ultimately, this Olympo squad composition was too much to handle.
Olympus squad doing something, I think, right by the people, because just casually, no one likes facing this composition. It's so strong, and they have now put it in their place on the big stage.
Why isn't Angelo on Pierce? Does Pierce even change anything here though? Let's be real. There's a Meeple with boxes waiting to box you up.
Now it's 2-1, but it's for
If you get
Olympus
caught,
squad,
you're
Kenny, our
done.
predictions are shaping up to look pretty good, a bit better than the
They were
viewers,
going
just
hella
putting it out there.
aggro too.
A little reminder here as well for BC.
It doesn't
Gaming,
change
they
anything
need
there.
to
They
get
were
at least
pushing hard up
into the
on them
final
anyway. They weren't
today
even
for the
hiding
World
behind
Cup.
walls
They still
or
have a
anything.
shot at that ticket. Other than Olympus squad, they can't make it to World Cup. Their aim is just to make it into the top 4 on the leaderboard, and it looks like they can do that today.
I mean, the kill category is a tough sight here, and you could feel it throughout that whole time, especially in that game number 1. Didn't feel like BC Gaming really got any momentum swinging. I'm not going to rule out BC Gaming winning this one, though. I think that set number 3 was just such a stark difference in strategy, and it's just very clear that Olympo squad had the winning one. I mean, BC Gaming made some nice adjustments. It came to a close call in that game number 2, especially towards the later rounds, but nonetheless, I think Olympo squad probably just having the better strategy there. I think a good couple drafts here could save BC Gaming. I don't think the viewers' predictions are out the window yet, but like we said all along, this was going to be a close call no matter how you spun it. I think these two teams are
Oh yeah,
very
there's a
evenly
Mega
matched in
Pig
the
in
region. That's what
tomorrow.
past months have shown too.
Freddie, what's your feeling about this? Do you feel like we're going to see set 5 today, or can Olympus squad close it out here in a 3-1 series?
I think that we probably will see set 5. I'm a little surprised by BC Gaming SA having this much trouble. I mean, we knew that it could be a close series coming in, but to get 2-0'd both times in a row, I mean, a 2-0, that
Next
is
tomorrow?
indicative
Oh.
of an outdraft. And I think they outdrafted themselves.
Gotta wait
by
50 games
going
to
something that
nothing,
didn't really
literally.
allow them to express their skill. More just like hoping that this kit Daryl works. Now it's time for Ring of Fire, where you're not presented with such opportunities to go like this pre-packaged win that was the kit Daryl.
We're heading into set number 3 here. 3 now. It could be already the last one.
Mega
Olympus
Pig is
squad
terrible.
closes
It's like
out here,
one of the
or
worst
BC
additions to the
Gaming
game,
can push it
to be
one
honest.
more
It's not
set.
fun.
We could see
It's a
all
waste of
5 sets from
time.
those two teams,
Like,
which is
people
kind of
still
what we
feel the
expected
obligation to
this to be a
play
very close
it in
one.
a club.
Heading into Ring of Fire now, and again, last month, Juju and Bell have been the most picked up brawlers from South America region. From EMEA, we saw a lot of Max on this map. We saw a lot of Hank come out. I don't know if we're going to see the same thing here from SA as well. Finks, Poker, and Melody are banned out. 3 brawlers that we don't see too often, honestly, Kenny.
Not gonna lie, I still like going Mr. P here.
Some good homework being done by Olympo squad. Chester in the
But
scrims and
if you want a
practice leading up
safe
to this
pick,
was
maybe
by
like
far the most
Bell
played brawler for BC Gaming, and I think just a common one in the general meta, in the general SA
or
region.
Stu.
But
Fair
we're
enough.
gonna go with Stu. I'm gonna keep my eye out for those mines.
But
though.
now you
Pro
can
players have
just
really warmed up to
Bell
the idea of
Mr.
Bo, which
P if you
surprised me a
wanted
little bit,
to.
'cause last month he showed up maybe a smidge, but definitely a higher.
I don't
win
know
rate
if they
this
will
month.
though.
Definitely they've been
I think
entertaining
they
the idea of
draft
him a
kind
little
of
bit more, and I'm
differently.
sure a large part of that is due to that hypercharge. Juju that you mentioned is a bannable brawler in this map in this region. Bell, Byron, a couple other longer range normal mids I would say that could show up here.
Or
too.
maybe
So
they
still
go for a
plenty of options
tanky
for both
comp like
teams.
Byron.
It's quite interesting that we haven't
Buster.
seen Lou banned, and BC Gaming
No,
SA have
I
decided
think it's too early to
Lou.
pick
It's a
Buster.
classic counter to Lou, but they weren't willing
Bo,
to go
oh
Lou
right, Bo
when
is a
the
brawler.
counter of
You can
Stu
go
was
penny to
on the
Mr.
table.
P. I
So it's quite
mean,
intelligent from them. Olympus
yeah
squad
and
to gear
no.
up for how
Like,
they're going to
your
deal with
turrets are
some
gonna
of
get
the
hard
weapons.
targeted
BC Gaming
on
SA
this
could
map.
decide, wait, we're like not
I
going to
like
go that
Bo.
direction at all. So at least Olympo do have that last pick to deal with it.
But you
Bo
can't
is a
Mr.
pretty
P
strong
with
option
Bo
right
in
now
my
because with
opinion,
Ban,
because they
with
can go
hypercharge,
Mortis into
mines
that.
on the field, can a lot of times
What do you
be
pick
thwarted just
here?
by good team comms, like no one's going to be getting caught
I don't know.
off guard.
Oh,
Having 5 mines to
there's
disarm
the
instead of
Buster.
3 does impede your progress in the mid in the same way that
Am I
something like a
secretly
Beltrap
big brain?
Bell traps are certainly nice in this map, and again, Bo showing up here, Buster showing up. Get used to
Okay,
Buster,
what do you
folks. I
pick
think it's just
here?
gonna be the
Need
norm that we
something
get,
I can
especially
do with it.
now that we've had a week weekend's worth of progress. The SA teams, the NA teams can kind of adjust, see what works, see what didn't.
But doesn't, yeah, I was thinking that too soon, but they're just still on the other side, so it's not terrible.
On the map, which is I think a big reason why he's going to start showing up more and more. It's the hypercharge stat boost, sure, but other than that, I mean, just having a stack of 5 mines, stack of 3 mines at the same time did that hypercharge can certainly
fair enough.
out. Hank finally showing up here. Took him a little bit.
I was gonna say gray, but you cannot gray here. You cannot gray into a bow.
Don't mind this at all. Get yourself a little beefy, a little extra HP. I think that's certainly an underrated feature.
Okay,
of
B.
compositions in Brawl Stars.
That's fine.
Here comes the B to prevent that counter.
Oh,
BC Gaming SA.
low
And
key
keep in
run the
mind,
Mr.
BC
P,
Gaming
even
SA
though there's a
decided not
Hank,
to
you
go
can
for the
still
win.
Mr. P
So
this.
it's not really on the table for Olympus squad. They didn't want to run it. They didn't want to waste a ban on it either.
Kenji, it's a bow buster. I don't have zero ping, so I can't vouch for it.
They're probably going to double stack the mid and have Stu be that guy that
8-bit,
actually gets the
8-bit
and gets that percentage on the board.
into
8-bit out
B.
from Olympus squad. This is untraditional. A lot of
Interesting.
times you would not see this run on this map, but
I mean, it's
the
stretch,
mentality
Hank.
is, well, we're going to anchor
That was
ourselves on
L3. Let's go,
Olympus
Will.
in the 8-bit, get the damage boost that way. Like Bo already does so much damage. Now he's gonna do
I mean,
but the 8-bit is
low
gonna
key
be pretty much
bow
their only
8-bit
way
is
to
enough to win the
majority
mid.
just
I guess all 3 brawlers on the other side.
For the 6th pick.
As long as they
it has
play
shown up
well.
here in the past, like you mentioned, it's just not used to seeing him in today's day and age be a norm, I would say, on Ring of Fire. So the fact that it's a 6th pick, it's the final selection, this is clearly a matchup or a brawler that Olympus squad want. BC Gaming fighting for Brawl Cup. If they lose here, it will be absolutely devastating. Last month's 2nd place team have the possibility of falling down early.
Loco's got the good B as well. That gadget reached all the way to Bo, keeping him back for now. Doritos bested by Ice Crow on the right side. Couldn't get all the way around that obstacle because Cowie was pinching him in position. Also, the bushes now forfeited by BC.
This game is
Doritos gonna
over.
Try and get in range, but Ice Crow just has so much damage to work with. Even pops the hypercharge just to get in there. Now Doritos is running the star power that, or rather the gadget that will give him some shield and keep him alive for a little bit longer. It ends up just being a trade. Now Olympus squad have that control back. They have the boosted booster on the field. Things are looking quite good for them right now.
They've got their control feature with Bo. They've got 8-bit, who is just pummeling out damage. Ice Crow battling Doritos, so much to the point that Loco is now rotating that right hand and as a sharpshooter just to try and get some assistance. They're just not getting the kills necessary.
Imagine Olympus squad pulls out the Brawl Cup win, or the Brawl Cup, what is it, like, getting into it.
Through the shield, here comes Doritos.
Oh, wait, Doritos.
Ice Crow now out with another super, but it can't keep him alive.
Doritos doing what he can, but it's not enough.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You cannot stand safely on this point.
That's what I was getting at. And a reason that I think pro players have
Why do you
certainly warmed up to,
first pick
especially
Stu in
Hot
this
Zone,
meta?
they can have 8 mines
Unless
down at
it's
once, the
like
regular super, plus on top of that,
triple
the
dribble.
hypercharge, and they're just gonna have to rely on Stu dashing quickly to get through that. All
You're
those
so
mines being
dead.
shared. Oh, and Dirt falls over it. 95 and climbing up. Doritos down. Wesley, 10,000 plus HP will be more than enough to bring them to
Yo, welcome back, Toby.
Olympus squad, they can't make it to Brawl Cup, but they can get themselves points to get in that top 4 and make an LCQ or a World Finals run in the next half of the season.
First pick Bell or Bo, yeah.
But BC Gaming,
Honestly, I would first pick Bo now over Bell.
out of the running. They made 2nd place last month. Now they could fall in the quarterfinals and say goodbye to those wishes of going to Brawl Cup.
Still an opportunity to redeem themselves. Speed zone going down on the left hand and Cowie in the mid. Wesley slowly walking up with him. And Ice Crow already with the super ready to go. Goes for the pull, misconnection, but an 8-bit super will help the damage category. Nice tag by Doritos, but he's tripped over by the mines. Slowed down, low HP for the other brawlers, but because of all the takedowns, they weren't able to capitalize. It's still going to be BC with complete control.
And with that last mine position, Doritos has now lost all of those walls on the right side. Could actually be a good scenario for Loco, but he's going to have to do some heavy lifting here because it's him versus the world practically. Wesley's going to get some more damage out here as well. Get the takedown on Doritos. Loco is going to have a challenging time, like actually staying on this point. As long as Derp can stay in position, I think that increases Loco's chances. But now Ice Crow in with the hypercharge in the super, affords him position. Doritos luckily gets his hypercharge in the same breath and stays alive, keeping Loco on the point for a bit longer, climbing up to 60%.
They've got to watch Coway. The more these mines get
Like
down
great
on the
comp.
map,
Wait,
the
into
harder it is for BC to
which
retake.
one?
They're gonna
Olympus
flank on this
squad or
right-hand side to
BC?
try and space the floor a little bit. Now that they've got some extra wall break, B doesn't mind that. Goes down immediately. Doritos hunting.
You could do a
Goes to the
great
super.
comp
Gives
into
himself up a little
BC,
longer. This is well handled though. Ice
but
with a nice
I don't
ball.
think you
Wesley
can do a
will
great
follow
comp
those shots.
into
Olympus
Olympus
still a
squad.
lot of work to do, but they're chipping away.
I think Olympus squad has
Ice
way
Crow
too much
staying close to Wesley because
DPS.
he needs this super if he plans on defending against Loco. Here comes the hypercharge once again. He's had so many this set so far, but the slow is out. Ice Crow really just begging to be taken down by the 4KB. Loco now out with another gadget to keep Wesley on the back foot. Wesley does survive, but Derp continues to flank from the left. We're counting up to 90% now. Just a bit more survival for BC Gaming SA. Will continue this match point. 7% is what they need.
Okay,
and
they're
Derp is
playing
on a
really
tear.
well
He's
this
got the
game.
hypercharge of the super to wipe out the entire team and keep BC Gaming SA's dreams alive.
Such a close set. Really great adjustments from BC Gaming. I think the early game was a big
Oh,
difference maker. They
BC?
didn't get
Yeah.
taken over
You
off
can
the
run a
rip.
great
As the
Jackie
second we
into
saw
BC's
stacks of
comp, but you
mines
just
on
win.
top of that hot zone. It was just so hard to step on it. You can't dip your pinky toes in because you're going to trigger a mine. And then it takes time to trigger all 8 mines. That's a lot to deal with. They open up that right-hand side as well. B got some good flanks in there. Doritos was just a pop-off brawler. I feel like in that game number 1 was not nearly as useful as he was in that second. So really well played. BC Gaming certainly still in this.
Wall break on that right little corner of walls, I think, was one of the bigger errors that Olympus squad made in that last game. Number 2 was not being able to flush Derp out of that left side, and he's already forced to take this right side to sort of create some room for Doritos to now flank from the left. They're not going to be wasting any opportunities here. Loco also popping that gadget as soon as it's online, just out of range of Coway BR, unfortunately. But he has a position on the point. Things are going to be equalized. And this last mine also threatens to open up the wall on the right side.
Holy
It's gonna be a
Doritos
bit tougher
popping
for
off.
Doritos and Dirt to play it. I don't think they really know where that last mine is. Okay, yeah, they had to search for a little bit. But Loco is now going to have a heyday with this upper right-hand corner of the point.
Ice Crow popping a hypercharge just to progress
Doritos
off the
is
map.
playing
Wesley
slow.
creeping on this right-hand side. Derp skating back and forth. Will survive. The speed zone being there to assist as well. And once again, we're seeing a runaway by BC Gaming. They are well over 40%.
This is a
at this
good
point.
speed
Difference
zone game
from
too.
BC Gaming. There's another mine being triggered. Loco maneuvering this so well. It's hard to juggle 3 pro players as it is. Now let's throw in the mix a bunch of mines by your feet. These pro players are doing such a good job of handling this.
Once again, with these walls broken open, it's made things so difficult for Olympus squad. That's 2 down and just Coway left. 15% for BC Gaming SA to go, and barely any chance of Olympus squad making this back. They only have 2 brawlers online. Hypercharge in from Ice Crow, but they don't have the DPS, really, to get back control this point. Or maybe they can bring it to 99.
Lily Hug? I don't know. I don't
just
remember
should be
who made
enough for
that
Hank
command,
get
to
on
be
that point.
honest.
All the slowing in. Doritos still alive, and Derp dashing forward to keep
Maybe it's playing so
BC Gaming
bad.
SA in it and force a set 5.
BC Gaming hopes were looking bleak. Brawl Cup on the line, and they certainly delivered under the pressure. And now we get a set 5, and I know opinions have been different, I would say, across the casting desk here today with the people's opinions at home, but I really did feel like this was almost going to come down to set 5, even in the midst of what looked like a great set 3 for them. Now we've bounced back, and we get the matchup that I think I counted on being a 50-50 coin toss before this started. We'll have to see if BC Gaming can keep their hopes alive, make a semifinals, and maybe a miraculous run of the Brawl Cup, or if Olympus Squad are going to play spoiler.
At least the predictions from the cast today.
Bubbles,
were split in half,
Hypokey,
and in
how are
this one,
you?
I really felt like Olympus
None of his
were
chairs
headed
live for more than
BC Gaming to
5
turn things
seconds.
around.
I
It's
see.
really surprising to me. Buster was always there to bring them back if they ever do get pushed out of the
Thunder?
zone at the side of Olympus squad. The damage output from 8-bit, the complete control of the zone with Bo, it all looked pretty perfect.
Oh no, ain't no way it's
What
storming right now.
happened? What do you think was the key decision from BC that turned
Oh,
the
and
round
that's
two?
crazy.
I think legitimately it was Derp getting control on that left side, and he could not be removed. And Olympus squad, I mean, they had the priority.
Is
of
he even
getting on this
raiding?
Point where they sort of shrugged off that left side. I think also Doritos continued to sort of carry that torch in game number 3 because he was able to take control of the left side. I think the lane switches just looked magnificent. I think also
I'm doing well,
just possibly
Pookie.
an error
The reason I'm
Olympus
live
squad. You see
right
that
now
wall
is
that was
because
broken
of
open on the
this.
right side? It's literally just 3 blocks, but it was
Consider
pretty much the
matchups,
same
yeah,
thing
true,
that was
so.
making this playable for Buster on the right lane.
Yeah, it's getting cooler. I
Maybe
can
it was
feel
just
it.
that, well, we are heading into set number 5, something that you Kenny expected. You're still betting on Olympus Squad to take it all, or now BC Gaming because they come out of set number 4 with some momentum?
Yo, Revive, how are you?
I'd
Thank
regret
you for
if
the
I
one
changed my
biddy.
pick.
I appreciate
knew it was
it.
going to be a 50-50. I figured it would come down to this. I'll still
Go
roll with
live
the Limpo. I hate
again.
to change my prediction now, but I
That's
do think this
dead,
could go either
Pookie.
way. Especially considering this has been a very unique map, I would say, in South America. I'm just going to throw it out before this draft starts. Don't be surprised if Dynamite is a thrower of choice here. It's been a frequent pick for BC Gaming. Meeple's a regular here.
How long I'm streaming for until this is done? So give or
I
take
guess with
5
JJ,
hours.
still probably one of the strongest, if not their strongest thrower, but almost always banned out. Dynamite is a pretty decent choice.
I like when
Not bad
it's
either. And as
cloudy.
Amy said,
I'm
we
not a
often
fan of
pick
thunder
in
though.
scrims. We do have some
I
data on
like
that, so I'm
rain.
super excited now to see what brawler they ban exactly. Heading into set number 5 now, it's the last one, and after that we know if BC Gaming stream of Brawl Cup is still alive or if Olympus Squad can finally
Thank you for
make
the
it
like,
into
Pookie.
the
I
top
appreciate it.
4 of
Prefer
this
winter or
season.
summer? Oh,
After
winter
we're
all
only
day.
about 30
Winter
points
all
behind
day.
Loud at the moment, so
Even though
if we
my
make it
my
all the way to the
birthday is
finals, I
in
think
summer,
that
but
dream
like
would still be very much
I'm
alive.
not a
Juju
fan
and
of being
Barley are
hot.
in fact banned out, so ready. Do we believe Kenny here? Do we see some
How about
dynamite?
Ali?
I legitimately think that it is a good choice.
I've
You don't
not
even
gone
have to
through
do
my
it as a
VIP
last pick.
list
It can be
and
so effective
removed
against tanks. You outrange them,
inactive
fire it
people.
over walls, you can stun them as well. Mobility is certainly, something that a Dynamite has to be concerned
Yo,
about.
Cintra, how are you?
Nemo is coming up in your face.
Yeah,
Stu
some
also being
introverts?
great
No, I
calls,
think we
but
just don't like being
it's still
hot.
quite a legitimate choice at some point during the draft, especially if you're the one deciding which walls break. So Olympus Squad could opt to go for it.
If you listen
but
to
we'll
this
see what
mixer,
BC
I will
Gaming
not
say
be locked in
have
on the
store
mixer. I
for
already
us
told you
when it
this.
comes to that aggression they're going to need to go for, or perhaps the way that they deny it. B and Hank, once again, it did not fail them for most of the last several games, so why not give it another shot? They're going to need wall break, though.
A lot of common names out the window. B, Stu, Hank, I would say, are probably the 3 most played, which makes sense why they show up here. And to the point I was making earlier, you see 2 brawlers being banned on that top left-hand side. It's Barley and Juju. Now they've removed 2 throwers. The only 2 throwers left that kind of show up here frequently. Gone are the days of Barry, at least in scrims, unless they're hiding something really well. But Larry has shown up from time to time, I would say, as more of a tank counter as your thrower, and that's what we're going to see on the Limpo Squad side. So I highly doubt they go for a Dynamite. BC have liked using a thrower, though. They've gone for very diverse compositions when practicing this map, so I'm curious to see if that final pick ends up being a thrower for them for Olympus Squad.
Yeah, Larry's so good. If you use the star power that gives some ammo, it's really good against teams.
So it makes sense why we grab the extra spawner with Larry and Lori, and that zone control coming out of Lou, who's a good traditional tank counter, is a control brawler, and can drop an ice rink, which
What do you last pick here? Barley is
At
banned.
this point, maybe you do just go Poco. I mean, it's like the antithesis to the loot. You have a tank to pair it with. You also B.
Low key.
It could be in the cards for BC Gaming.
I don't
SA.
mind
Some
the
other way of
Poco.
dealing with Lou, though, I think has got to be pretty much a priority for BC Gaming SA. Otherwise, this is going to be a huge issue.
No
for them.
hyper,
It's a
yeah.
safe one.
Larry
Kenji
doesn't have a
now
hyper,
coming in.
but
So get that
I don't think he
aggression
needs
on
one
the
yet, to be
very
honest.
whenever possible.
I mean, I guess
Also,
you
right
can't
on
really
top of that,
compare
Lou
it to
generally
Barley
enough aggression that he won't really
in
be
most
able to freeze you.
situations,
Stu
but
is gonna be staying out of range quite effectively,
he can
but
still
another thing
shred
that Kenji
tanks.
boasts is the ability to attack
I
walls
don't.
with that
Is this a
super boost.
Kenji
Pretty
game?
good for just clearing the way for a walk-in.
I don't think
Not
this
sure what
is
to make of
really
this
a
one.
Kenji
Not
game.
a
I'm not
practice that
gonna
I've
lie,
seen. Kenji hasn't
but
shown up a ton here, and into the face of a
it
Lou,
can
they
work.
double down.
But
They go
it's
for some
a
extra health
risky
points,
pick.
some extra aggression, and they pair it with
You can
Lou.
get
Some
shredded by
common names that we see
Larry. You
often.
can
That's a
get
real interesting one. BC Gaming have climbed their way to this
frozen
point.
by Lou
World Cup all in
if
the
you're
line
bad
for
at
them, and so
dodging.
far, so good. A jump in with the super
Okay,
gets the
Doritos
takedown.
is playing
Ice
out.
Cold
There's a
left alone. He
fucking
has to
line.
dash forward. It was a good attempt, but Doritos with an
They have
easy
0
walk
ping.
for
Oh,
BC
right.
Gaming, starting strong in our set 5.
Right. I
This was the
forgot people
mentality
get
was
0
you can
ping.
immediately aggress the Lou, and he's not going to be able to freeze you before you can get that kill as Kenji. But now he's playing aggro onto Ice Crow. Ice Crow breaks that wall on the right side and makes it so much better for Loco. Ideally, this ball gets passed up.
I forget
Now,
if some
Dirk
people
hasn't
actually
helped
have
lock
0
in, but he
ping.
can't thanks to the ice ring from Wesley. But it doesn't get any super cycled out for him. In fact, no one's triggering any sort of damage on that. Another super out from Doritos. The aggression is looking good, but he pushed into several enemies at once. It has paid off with Ice Crow clearing out of the way. That hypercharge pop keeps him alive thanks to the Gasa heal, and Loco looks like he may be able
Look
to
at
just
that.
force
Look
one
at the
through.
ping
Massive
with
right between
Doritos.
Callie's legs.
Like, I wish I
Gets
had
to a
that,
match
bro.
What a momentum swing. BC Gaming come out firing to open set 5. They make a comeback in set 4, especially after that game number 1 looks so bleak for them.
I wish I had that. I do. If I had that, I would play this game too much. Y'all already know I streamed it a lot over the years. I would play this game too much if I had 0 ping.
To open up these walls, Derp has been a problem. Doritos is in their face, and Loco from the long range has been so good. There's the first takedown they need, but Doritos is still going to try and make a move for this. Loco not going anywhere. They do have a super available.
Oh nah, that would have been crazy.
On the line, denied for now, but they're still on the defensive.
Super close call for Wesley as well, who was only 500 health by the time that he intercepted that attempted goal from Doritos.
Good snipe from Derp.
BC actually in their spawn, but they're still keeping this momentum moving forward. Need a little bit more health here. Derp ideally gets.
Thank you, Alia. Appreciate those kind words.
Perhaps they're going to have to dodge these shots from Cowie before they plan their next assault.
Just no opportunity for quick kills with the composition that Olympus squad have gone with. Ice Crow dives in super deleted. Derp now with all of his HP will walk this one forward. Lou and Larry in a corner. A lot of supers available. OS have to respond. Doritos kick away. Ice Crow diving to the left hand in. Doritos takes flight. Will connect, but not enough for more than going down. It's a kick over to Ice Crow. Doesn't have a super yet. And Derp will drop one of his own. Local will just kick this.
Also, let me know if the stream starts buffering or whatever, because it just started thundering over here. So I don't know if you heard me and my brother talking about it a bit ago. It's storming over here, so
now all the way back in their spawn. Finally,
some
value out from Lou, who's been really fighting to get a hypercharge for much of this set so far, but has not been successful as of yet. Derp willing to get a little bit more aggressive, try and get Wesley. Unsuccessful.
I'm muted. Oh, my bad. I guess you just won't be able to hear what I'm saying. That's so unfortunate.
For Olympus squad. Now that they have that control, they're finally doing some stuff. But BC Gaming,
yeah,
one in gun kind of team. They've got Hank, they've got Kenji. They don't mind getting up in your face, but now it's a battle against the clock. You not only have to take down BC Gaming, you have to hustle in a goal here.
Ice Crow with his second.
Dude isn't strong enough of a wall break. Yeah.
Loco getting body blocked by Doritos for most of that interaction. Doritos the last one alive. Wesley needs to get this.
Nah, it was quiet out there like 2 minutes ago. Now it's pouring. That's crazy.
They're not going to be getting this. Loco puts it back in the corner, and BC Gaming from near destruction in set number 4 hold on to keep their dreams of Brawl Cup alive into the semifinals.
It's a good start. That's exactly what they needed on the checklist. So one box going to be toggled here, but a lot of work to be done.
It's crazy how BC. Wait, did they reverse rate that? How long is this stream until this is over? That's
all
fine.
you can ask for from a team when it matters most, with all the pressure in the world. Sometimes it just takes one set to be the difference maker. They weren't perfect in the draft stage, but they were perfect when they needed to be.
Yeah, they really had to turn things around here, and they did so after such hard-fought, close sets. Set number 5 seems to be a bit more one-sided. I feel we didn't have a single game taken by Olympus Squad in this one. A very, very strong.
They all gotta go too.
At the end,
Crazy.
when it counts,
I don't know.
Their run to the Brawl Cup.
They had, well, they had DPS, but
as far as their performance then, I mean, they made it to the grand finals.
Kenji moment, Doritos moment. Doritos played out of his mind.
So if last month is anything to judge by, we're only really just getting started in terms of BC Gaming SA. They got a tough road ahead of them.
Maybe that's what they feel most comfortable with. Last month, every single of their matches was a 3-2, and they took it in the end, apart from the finals. Maybe today, they are winning it all.
Yeah, Doritos played that really good.
Surprise after what we've just seen against Olympus Squad. And as you mentioned, Kenny, just looking at scrims, Olympus Squad should have won that one. So what you said pretty much describes it perfectly. They win when it matters.
Yeah, and I mean, in fairness too, I think both of these teams didn't come into this month scrim-wise at the best spot. I do think Olympus Squad were a tad ahead
with
of them.
Good Wi-Fi.
Weren't super impressive to me, so I took a stab at it, called my shot, but ultimately Olympus Squad went down again.
Imagine if I had, well, I mean, so my Wi-Fi isn't terrible, but
it seems like there's a top 4
it's not great.
And then there's everybody else. So
and my iPad is cooked too. I feel like I was talking about his ping.
Sorry, already.
True.
We have 7 matches for you today on the line in the end.
Sounds good, Revive.
We
Appreciate
have
for jumping
one
by.
out of the way so far. So, ready, please talk us through the bracket.
Cats or dogs?
We have
Cats
PC
all
Gaming
day.
SA onto the semifinals to try and battle their way to another grand
Oh,
final.
hell
in
no,
a row.
Striker.
But likely the opponent they will be meeting there is SK Kalalis SA, which will be our next quarterfinal coming up. Those are our last month's champions and the ones
Nah,
who actually took
Striker,
down
let me
PC
see you
Gaming
have
SA
a draw
in that
against
grand final.
Vegeta, OG,
So that will
and
be an
Genie
interesting
in
matchup to
rings.
see once again.
Then we can talk.
Kenny, now without cheating, who do you think was the MVP for this match? Without looking.
I won't cheat. I would be man my word. They always try and give us a heads up when they can. I feel like it might be Derp. I think it might be Derp this time.
I think it's
I do
Doritos.
feel like all these players played pretty evenly. I don't know if there were too many instances where a player.
Yeah.
All right, Doritos. I got no qualms with that. You know, there was not really one player for
Hello,
me, at
Jack,
least.
right?
I mean, maybe you two feel differently. Maybe Doritos was the obvious choice to chat and everybody else. I feel like everybody kind of did the
Yeah, I know who you are. I wasn't gonna say anything if you
I think
weren't.
this was pretty
But I know who
excellent
you are.
aggression that we saw from Derp throughout the game. He topped the scoreboard there as Piper at first, and then also we saw
Nah,
him play
Doritos
excellent
played
support
so
role. I think
good.
Doritos really stole
Why
the
did bro
show
say
in that
Derp of
last
all
set.
people?
I'm not gonna lie. I think he was put on the most aggro brawler, really the biggest game changer there.
The flashy brawlers are usually the ones to receive MVP, I feel, but every single person within a squad is important. Now, match number 1 is out of the way. We still have a bunch of them to go. The next one is going to be Zarita Gang versus SK Kalalas. I would stay tuned for that. You should stay tuned for that. And tune in again after the break.
It's so crazy. They went Daryl Kit and lost that set. The galley. If I have to play in this mixer, I'm gonna play from my phone. Oh. It surely doesn't take out electricity, right?
All regions from across the globe are sending their best champions to prove to us, once and for all,
Humble, 50%, Crazy Raccoon, have fallen short.
which region is the best in the world right now. They'll compete for LCQ and World Final slots for their home region, altering the competitive landscape for the rest of this year. So prepare your flags, your patriotism, and cheer on
I don't
your
remember
region
who my
champions.
team is. Sim is not playing.
23rd to
He's
25th
the
of
one
May,
that's
live
hosting
from
it.
DreamHack Dallas. Get your tickets now and join the fun in person. Or watch online at event.brawlstars.com for amazing Pro Pass rewards.
We're back and we're bringing on a new face to the show today. It's Uber. No one other than you, of course.
Hello, Uber.
Sadly, we have to say goodbye to Kenny. Are you happy that you're replacing him, Uber?
Sure, yeah. I mean, it means I get to do some yapping and get involved in the show. But you know, I would not say, as a rule, I'm glad to bench someone for
Where's
me. But I need to
Stamina?
sink my teeth into some of these
Wrong
SA games.
region,
That
bro.
last one was a banger.
That's what I thought. And I hope you got your tickets for the Brawl Cup already, Uber, since you can now also get some sweet add-ons. It's available with
Oh, I want
every
that
purchase
shade
of a DreamHack
keychain.
ticket. Grab yours and score a goodie bag.
Other
With
stuff I don't
exclusive
really
merch,
care about.
Socks, a pop socket, a keychain, and stickers ready.
I've not seen that shade thing yet, by the way. Like the skin, is that something that's coming to the game? I hope so. Possibly a teaser of what's
Oh.
going to happen.
Sounds like that
You guys
thunderstorm is
think that
coming.
we're in the know, but we genuinely have no clue. I'm excited for that reason alone.
And I'm excited not only for the little add-on for the World Cup, but also for our next match. Everything's still on the line between Zarita Gang versus SK Kalalas. One of those two can still make it to World Cup, Uber.
Yeah, I mean, and again, for SK Kalalas, it's all on the line today, and they get a reasonably friendly start in this monthly final. They actually played up against Zarita Gang last month in that first round, and they looked pretty comfortable. So I think if you're, eyeing off the rest of the competition and also looking at the other side of the bracket that features both Loud and Casa Brawl, you're feeling decent about this. You know you've got a good chance of making this semifinals, provided you hit the ground running here. We were really impressed with this SK Kalalas team last month. I think they've really got the quality, and they take a 3-1 win over BC Gaming. And honestly, the sets that they won, they were really pretty solid. Like, they didn't drop any rounds in the sets they won. They're all 2-0. So pretty impressed by what this team has on offer, and I'm definitely expecting, Reddy, you might correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm expecting them to be a real force to be reckoned with, even with some of those household names looming on the other side of the bracket.
Absolutely. SK Kalalas, I mean, after last month's finish, they should be, feeling pretty good about this. They're looking fantastic. They slipped a little bit in those qualifiers. They had to qualify through the lower bracket because they lost to Alpha 7, but when it comes to Zarita Gang as well, they're also coming in on their best performance in a qualifier to date. They got a win over Casa, and they have not made it out of the qualifiers in previous months, so if there would be any place to start it, it would be now with the win over SK Kalalas, last month's champions.
So Zarita Gang coming in through the upper bracket of the monthly qualifier. SK Kalalas through the lower one. It should be the other way around, just looking at the leaderboard, honestly. Now, speaking about SK Kalalas, we have a very different monthly final result from them in February than in March. And the difference, possibly, is Christian here, Uber.
Yeah, look, I do think so. This guy's 19 years old, but don't let that put you off. The guy really is quite a force to be reckoned with. Last year, you might remember, actually, it was back in 2023 even, he was on Reconic Esports SA. That team had a really nice run, within their home region. And last month, this guy feels like he made, this guy's a difference maker when he's in the team, is what I'm sort of getting at here. These results, pretty impressive. Zarita Gang, Casa Brawl, and BC Gaming all falling to this guy's hand, expecting another strong showing.
We wanted to give him a little bit of a shout out today. We also wanted to talk to him directly.
Yo creo que nuestro punto fuerte es la sinergia, porque creo que nos conocemos mucho y hace mucho tiempo. La cosa que estamos mejorando ahora como equipo, creo que es la comunicación, que a veces en los entrenamientos no hablamos mucho, pero la estamos mejorando de a poco. Creo que pudimos ganar la última mensual porque, bueno, primero ahora estamos en Brasil, entonces jugamos en las mismas condiciones que los demás y creo que nos adaptamos mejor al meta que los demás equipos.
So they want to win this one with a lot of synergy, with communication. Can they make it into Brawl Cup just through that, Reddy?
I think so. I mean, SK Kalalas looked great after last month. They've proven themselves capable of taking down BC Gaming. They did 3-1 last month as well. They're coming in with a lot of momentum. I think really the biggest struggle for them is going to be dealing with Casa and Loud in the grand finals. Should, of course, they make it there, because Casa and Loud, I think they sort of have a chip on their shoulder as they fight through that lower half of the bracket.
Well, we'll see if they can make it to the grand finals once again, if they win their second monthly final in a row, or if it's maybe Zarita again. They're sitting on the 7th spot at the moment. They certainly want to move up the leaderboard a little bit further. Now, we're heading into our second quarterfinals match here. The maps are down below us here as well. Uber, any map you're looking forward to in particular?
Yes, I mean, I'm always interested in Gem Fort. I think it's a really interesting map. It offers a couple of opportunities. We actually saw it much more when, like, it was a lot of Berry and Ash being played. I think we're seeing way less of the Berry and tank combinations right now in favor of some of these more long-range brawlers. So curious to see how that plays out. But first up, we're headed to Super Beach. And God, we already know what those really hotly contested brawlers are in these brawl ball game modes. This is a map that offers opportunities both for the longer range sharpshooters and also, those throwers. I think wall break is definitely going to be a key consideration ready coming into this kind of map. It's fun to see these two teams pitted against each other on brawl ball up first.
It's been a hot minute since we've seen this map in rotation, and there are like some, I guess, debates about it, like whether it is fair, because right off the beginning of the game, keep in mind in Brawl Ball, you spawn closer to each other's spawn points, like right after a goal or just off the beginning of the game. For a brawler like B, that means that you're getting a free shot, and for that reason, she is a high priority ban. Both Zarita Gang and SK Kalala is getting rid of it immediately. She's not the only sharpshooter that's capable of that, just getting a free hit off the beginning, so expect to see that later on. But you talk wall break, we got to keep Chester in that conversation. His hypercharge is capable of it, and there's an okay chance that you'll roll it when you get that super.
Good chant here from you, Reddy, I feel. But he is just so strong on this map, just as Max. And Max, surprisingly, has been left open. Slipped through the bands here, could still be picked up. I do like those two very DPS-heavy brawlers that have been picked up so far, Chester and Carl. Just a lot of damage output overall. The RT will help the Carl do even more damage. And it's a brawler we don't see too often on Super Beach, but you can easily score through that mid if you have tanky options that can just move up the map, get a super, and slot the ball in from afar over.
I'm a little surprised to see it. It's much more of like a knockout and sometimes even bounty pick, but this kind of plays into what I mentioned about this map offering opportunities for the mid to longer range brawlers to succeed. I think Chester's a menace right now. That hypercharge really powers him up and gives him one of the most potent nukes in the game. And we have a little bit more Byron. I think it was something that also pointed it out that we're seeing a little bit of Byron Max, like, off-laning on a couple of different maps. Very powerful here. Someone who can allow Christian to move up and take that map control and also have an answer to the, inevitable all-in from Prozzy on that Carl. Because Heat Ejector is so annoying now in terms of how it can zone and sort of lock you into your side of the map. Carl's such a big issue. So SK Kalalas have to ask themselves, do we want to get someone, to be the recipient of all of this healing? And Frank is going to be that final pick.
Okay, now Zarita Gang have to have some kind of counter for this, but keep in mind this Frank is going to get healed up repeatedly. So honestly, in one of these situations, I mean, do you like Clancy or something? What is going to be strong on a lane that can get tons and tons of damage out on a tank that is continuously receiving healing? You also want to keep your options open because this map is going to be quite open, if you ask me. Frank is going to be breaking some walls, so is Chester. I don't see any wall break for Zarita Gang. That is how you do it. Dynamite is one of the biggest counters to Frank in the entire game. A lot of times, you'll see Frank also running the gadget that lets him suck opponents in rather than be immune to stuns, which makes him extra vulnerable to Dynamite.
And it might be a consideration because Dynamite has a gadget that allows him to append a stun onto his normal attack, which obviously really potent for interrupting the Frank. He's quite susceptible to any crowd control when he's winding up for one of those big supers. So that's definitely a direction that you can go in. And it is also a brawler that in the
who's winning this match? SKC should win
Once
this.
the map gets opened up a little bit more, perhaps
Zinko,
less powerful, but you
you.
really want to abuse the fact that you have this Dynamite early and already you can see the zoning
Rep
being
Axis,
sort of
yeah.
applied to Brian there towards the top
I was
of the map.
watching it on my phone.
RHC has the health, can start to come forward here, picked off in a 2v2, and Jay doesn't really want to double back for the ball quite yet. Yeah, he can try and dive on Christian.
Oh, I didn't
who
look at
have
the
a super
draft at
developed
all.
to take the Carl down.
A lot of pretty chalked brawler interactions here. It's just a matter of getting those lanes set up correctly.
This is a free Dyna game.
Really typically that
if
easy
Dyna
to swap
plays
those
well.
lanes, especially with all of the walls in the way. We'll see Zarita Gang looking for their next formation. Check out Jexer over here on the right side. We see the takedown from him. And
This
he's got
is
the
a good
hypercharge
Carl
in now.
game too.
Christian, he can throw
Holy,
down that
what is
super,
this
but it's not gonna
outdraft?
take him down. Prozzy slots it in, and Zarita Gang leads with one.
Good look here for the Dynamite composition. Now SK Kalalas have a bit more of an open map, which, yes, can benefit Christian. But Exit has chosen, obviously, to keep the walls on this side of the map, and Frank hasn't dared take the left side lane. So Exit really is able to play to his own advantage. And now, of course, he'll break the map up, but only in front of SK Kalalas' goal. This is a great start here for Zarita Gang. Brian also has to be very careful should he go and trying to pick up the ball. Christian, okay, speculative super does get big damage on Prozzy, but not enough
That was
to
kind of a
take
big
the
brain
RT out
play
of the
from
game.
the RT.
Christian now needs to do it the old-fashioned way. Good catch with some of that damage. Prozzy does go down, and
Good
now
a
there's an
shot,
opportunity.
Carl.
Exit's
That
just
was a
gonna
free
corner the ball,
kill.
though.
Like
Zarita
3
Gang have an
times.
advantage, and there's no reason to play riskily.
With Christian nuking that right side, Zarita Gang has had to fall all the way back into their defenses. Thankfully, Exik is able to trade with Brian up here. We'll have to see this damage come in from Jexer. RHC was just out of range, and he could still depend on getting that support from Christian over there on the left side. Christian's going to continue applying that pressure to Jexer, who's really the biggest issue for him. But it doesn't seem to be any problem for Carl to take him down. Zarita Gang are now just determined to play defense. If they find a good opportunity, like maybe they get a couple kills or go for a goal, but no point with 25 seconds left to send everything you've got at an offense.
Yeah, put SK Kalalas in a position where they have to wager something in order to try and even up the game, put themselves at risk. I'm scared of Jay right now. He has Hypercharge available. That Carl can run rough shot over this SK Kalalas team if they allow him to. RHC trying to get forward, Exit the last player up here, but Jason comes to his rescue. Christian's got to back away, but again, heat ejector also popped by the Carl. He is just chasing him on down. And Zarita Gang develop an early lead.
I think this is an outdraft, a hard outdraft.
Back into the round.
I like how this game developed, especially just seeing like the map reflect everything that has happened so far. As the walls continue to break open and the advantages like gradually begin to change. That early game you pointed out, I think, is just a serious point for Zarita Gang to begin succeeding. It's tough for Frank to deal with the Dynamite. It's also challenging for Brian, which is why he's going to prioritize getting aggro now. That's where Prazi comes in and helps out. He just quickly flexed onto that left
real, some Arab.
Even more damage with his shots. But Brian's doing a much better job of keeping this aggression, though, with the diminishing power.
Thank you for the 3 watch streak. I appreciate it. I thought you had a way bigger watch streak though. Oh wait, huh? Wait, what happened?
Indeed. RSD's able to bring him down though, right in front of the goals. And SK Kalalas do not want to go down early in this game. The phase of the game, of course, which as we've been discussing, they're a little bit weaker given how the map is laid out. Exik sees that a mile off as RHC tries to drop a super down. And this Dynamite is really causing some headaches to SK Kalalas. They don't have a thrower of their own. That's the problem with giving your team, your opponents rather, last pick. Any thrower could really outrange this Mike, but they just don't have the answer. Christian saves the goal, sure, but has to give up his life for it. And RHC is desperately trying to get his way back into the map under constant threat of the Dynamite. Finally, Frank v Dynamite on this left side, something we didn't see in the last round, but it goes about as badly as you would expect. Here comes JXCR. Christian just able to save the ball, and now RHC is not in a position to intervene. This is an utter outdraft here for Zarita Gang, and they will get another early goal.
Exik is just playing this remarkable Dynamite on the left side. RHC was trying to fake him out and was incapable. Exik had the perfect placement every single time. Now he's got the one shot on to Christian. The takedown onto RHC on the right side, and Chester luckily is out of range of the Dynamite's wrath. That was almost a team wipe for Exik on 3 different brawlers at totally different positions on the field. They have got to be scared of this guy.
Yeah, it's a problem. SK Kalalas are trying to puzzle out what the best lane assignments might be for this left side, but there just isn't a good answer right now. There's the stun there from Exik. RHC takes a face full of damage, but is able to withstand it. Brian,
whoa, what happened? I was not looking on the right side.
Slots a crucial goal to even up the round.
A stealthy one there down the right side, but it's not going to give them that much momentum. They got 20 seconds left. The position belongs to Zarita Gang. Exik still needs to hang on versus RHC on the right side. We have the hypercharge in. Prazi not going to get hit by any of that candy spray from Brian. It's only 10 seconds to go, and Exik has another hypercharge ready to move. He's got the speed. He's got the damage. A one-shot into Brian. Not going to hit him, but still, Jexer gets a takedown. 1 second to go. Pass to Prazi down the left. Exik gets the takedown, but can't get that ball in the goal. It's Jexer with 8.5k health, and Brian with no super, no jawbreaker, no nothing. We're continuing on into set number 2 with a win for Zarita Gang.
I love the draft from Zarita Gang. They have a little bit of everything. They have an all-in brawler, one that can punish the squishier backliners. They have good poke there from the RT, who also has an option to drop legs if someone walks up on him. And then that dirty little Dynamite last pick Sunny completely derails SK Kalalas' gameplay.
It is a pretty unconventional pick, just judging by other regions. In the eyes of other regions, certainly no Dynamite would have played on that field. This region just really proves to be volatile, as no other region is. It really seems like you can pick something great like Dynamite and just turn the whole thing upside down. Just a little reminder here, SK Kalalas were your last month's champions.
I think they faltered a little bit, like in those qualifiers, Uber, but this Dynamite absolutely stole the show for me. The lanes flanking in, Jexer, Exik, I think did a phenomenal job.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we talked a little bit about, prior to this game, the roads.
Who's
for
the
these
third
respective teams
caster?
through the qualifiers, right?
Is Ready,
So,
Set,
if anything's gonna
Kenny,
tell you that
and
on
Uber.
any given Saturday, we'll say, for this region, it could go either way. It's probably that. I mean, there's a reason why we have the same.
And Sunny
eight teams
is
competing here in month
the
final. Dorita Gang, though, definitely looked to be
the
one of the
host.
weakest teams in the region last month, and their placing on the leaderboard also reinforced that. But this could be a flash in the pan. It could be just a moment, but I think they drafted really well. It's a very promising sign going forward when they see an opportunity to react to that Frank while they have an open pick to sort of punish it, and they want to keep doing that. Winning in the drafts here is a great way to maybe overcome experience differences or even mechanical skill disparities sometimes. Has been a big topic of discussion in the Brawl Stars scene so far. So, I'm feeling good. Heading into Shooting Star, though, a much more open map, Sunny. A lot more opportunities here to flex that sharpshooter prowess.
I want to see some sharpshooters here. I don't want to see a Dynamite out in the open, but let's see if we come up with another great idea here. We had a month ago East Asia come up with that Shade pick, and it worked wonders for them. Maybe the Dynamite is the Shade for South America. We have Jean, Lumi, and Angela Bend out. So a lot of long-ranged options, a lot of scouting with the Jean out of the way. You could still pick Grey and do pretty much the same as the Jean does, thanks to the Walking Cane. That, by the way, now has an animation, also goes through walls. A little bit of a change last week. Piper, Nani, and Mandy. We really do not want to see any of those long-range bowlers that Uber just mentioned, ready.
Not at all. So let's see what Zarita gonna go for pick number 1. It's Byron this time. Byron, as we observed, and honestly, I think SK Kalala still played him really well, can do so many different things. You got the heal, you got high damage, you have like the Chug Jug that can do a bunch of damage if you hit someone, and you can auto-aim it from so many different tiles away. Just removing any room for error with that super is one of the things that makes it so strong, alongside the fact that you're going to be cycling it pretty quickly as long as you actually hit it. So this keeps a bunch of avenues open for Zarita Gang in terms of what they're going to pick up here. SK Kalalas now need to be concerned, I think, about do Zarita Gang go for something aggro? And SK Kalalas are going to safeguard themselves against that with something that is viable at long range, not the best, but still viable, and can shut down anything that gets right on top of it by splitting top from bottom, basically becoming 2 Jackies in 1.
Yeah, pretty favored so far already. Just a great option. Bell, of course, we've often discussed this, but now with Nest Egg being cooldown based and not, limited use based, she's very potent. Good, obviously features great range. There's also some, some worlds where you can try and bank shots off walls here if you sort of, take a little bit of a different gadget, but good balance of offense and defense. Both the brawler picks so far for SK Kalalas are good at sort of dissuading Zarita Gang from trying to walk up on them.
They banned all the good first picks so they could first pick Byron. That's very interesting.
Being looked at and banned out. So Zarita Gang were definitely trying to eliminate a lot of the strong counter options, for them to maybe have one of the good sharpshooters. That's also very robust, offers defensive, capacity in that his super can sort of knock people back from the target that benefits from the shield. And honestly, Kooky Pop is great if you want to try and, find a pick-off if your opponents don't respect your spirits.
I think there are still possibilities for like how do you still get aggro on this Gus. Stuff like Melody is still viable. Stuff like Daryl still a possibility because, I mean, okay, sure, I roll in once and then Gus blasts me away. Cool. Well, Daryl has had 2 rolls for kind of a while now. Melody has 3 dashes on top of that. Now you have the Carl that has the possibility of getting this blue star. As of late, actually, I've seen it more migrate towards that other gadget, which is so strong. You're basically getting like an Amber super worth of damage just from hitting your gadget as Carl. But it's also a good amount of pressure to like try and make the enemy go for something that is good into Carl. Otherwise, they know you're going to get that blue star for free and they're going to be playing offense.
Yeah, if we end up in like a bit of a long-range duel, which definitely sort of seems to be the case here, Grey, obviously referenced by Sunny coming into this draft, then maybe getting the flying hook and forcing the enemy's sharpshooter team to expose themselves a little bit to your poke damage might be favorable. You might not need the extra DPS spike from Heat Ejector when you go in with Tailspin, even though it is very powerful. When you have that with Hypercharge, basically you can sort of nuke anything here. But Zarita Gang having the ability to gain that early priority is going to be really important. You do have to watch out for like the Walking Cane, for example, from the Grey. If you try to walk up and get an early blue star, that's amazing to set up those picks here. So SK Kalalas, great long-range composition with good pick potential, just like that. Jay does get caught, but somehow is able to stay alive thanks to the ministrations of Exic. But elsewhere, Prozzy is just utterly outranged by Brian.
Yeah, it didn't really have anything to do with the rest of the team play, just Prozzy getting beamed by Brian
The
on
fact
the
that
left side.
Carl
It's a
lived
matchup
like
that
3
is
different times, so
pretty
he should have
even on
died.
the
Is
range
crazy.
front, so it's going to come down to skill quite a bit. I think also Brian's going to have to be wary of like when Prozzy probably has that gadget ready, because that's going to change his, area from which he's able to get one shot by a shot from this Gus. We see the heals continue to pour into Jexer, who's getting outranged quite a bit. He and Christian operate at similar range, but really RHZ is more the concern. Christian once again with a takedown onto Prozzy. That's his second time falling this game. The only 2 kills that we've seen. He's just been hung out to dry on this left lane.
At some point, we have to see this Carl make an impact. So Gang now, despite getting the blue star, lose a couple of incidental picks, which is something that you sort of never plan for. I mean, no plan really survives first contact with the enemy in situations like this, but now Jay's looking for a way to get in without being super low before the fact. Hyper charge though from Christian with the dimensional door conferring a bit of a shield for him is definitely going to make Gang think twice about diving in. But now that Jay has this hypercharged super, even though he's marked by the bell, he has to try and go for it, but he's getting chunked down at range. I mean, he can't find an opening.
And Carl is getting bullied.
Here comes the hypercharge teleport in on the left side. Prozzy once again at risk of being taken down.
Yeah, Muffin, it was just raining over here, but it only rained for like 5 minutes.
No issue. SK Kalala's SA here, all they really need to do is exemplify their victory and stay alive. A couple takedowns for Gang could do it though. Christian and Brian are the ones they need to get taken down, but that's 1 in 2 kills. Prozzy, the last one alive, and no chance of possibly taking this game back. We'll see this one head to SK Kalala's.
Okay, a little bit dicey there. Prozzy drops legs and tries to take a pretty close engagement there. But this is not necessarily how you expect, based on the compositions we saw drafted, not necessarily how you expect this kind of game to go. The plan for Gang gets completely derailed really early on. It's not a great plan when you have to play from behind because it requires you to get your Carl in position and do so while he's healthy. And Jay does go in, but there was a nice little walking game from Christian that actually disrupts Carl midway through that tailspin. And here, again, the punishment for picking up the blue star comes in. This time, Jay walks away mostly unscathed.
They also swapped up the lanes, with Prozzy now taking this right side. So this has been quite successful for Gang. I think this is really the strat that they needed to go for, was keep Exic on that left side. Since Prozzy's had so much trouble on the right, early takedown though onto Jay, with Christian eliminating him. Gang now trying to get that aggression back. They're only 1 star behind, and they're missing that blue star since Jay fell, and has now been slowed down. Pretty much a sitting duck. Thankfully, the heals from Exic are coming in clutch and keeping him alive, allowing Gang to push this line of scrimmage forward.
Oh, that nest egg placement there for RHZ been really dangerous. Prozzy slowed up, has to try and get out. Good catch on a Christian though for Exic. Heads up play from him, but the blue star rests with SK Kalalas right now. So Gang once more have to be the aggressors. Hypercharge build here for RHC, so that obviously is a problem for Jay. If he wants to try and come in, he is going to get caught out. He's going to get marked. Garen, okay. Well, in theory, if RHC was a little bit more patient, he could have used that hypercharge super, but that's a bit of a misstep. And now, Jay doesn't have to worry about the damage yet when he goes in.
RHZ still on his last legs on the right side, but Jay can't even think about getting aggro, though. Christian, definitely a misplay with that TP in. Wasn't able to deal with the super from Jay. Prozzy now assuming position once more on the right side. Mind you, Gang are only 1 blue star behind. It's only a tiebreaker, keeping them from taking a win here. Jay with the gadget in. That's going to be a kill onto Christian by the looks of things. He's just on his last legs. That's 2 nest eggs on the right side. Prozzy's going to trigger both of them. A pull on a Jay, but he stays alive. Brian just needs to get the dodges and get away from Brian if possible. And Prozzy on the back right, doesn't even matter that he's there. Jay taken down. It's a 1-star differential. Prozzy fighting for his life, and he holds on. Gang bring this set to a tie.
Oh, it was very, very close. And you have to wonder what happens if RHC actually hits that super on the bell. He really controls that right side of the map beautifully. Prozzy thought he, I think, was able to put SK Kalalas at least in like a draw position in terms of stars there, because he throws the hack gadget down to secure an elimination. But as that fight goes on, Exic has done such a good job of securing trades in these situations, but this time Jay's punished for coming up, taking the blue star. It goes straight back, though, into the pockets of Gang.
Prozzy's holding on to this super on the right side. And SK Kalalas SA are deciding on which target they are going to go all out on next. because the synergy between Christian and RHZ has been one of the biggest stories throughout this set so far. They have isolated a target and dumped all of their ammo into them. Here comes the gadget from Christian, yanks him through the wall, and once again you see SK Kalalas descend on this guy like a pack of wolves. But the healing is here. Prozzy keeps him alive with a super, Exec with the heals, and that is Zarita Gang synergy that they're going to be rolling with.
Jay, though, is marked. Christian with a dimensional door available, so there's an opportunity for SK Kalalas to make a play, but they now have to play from behind, much as they did in the previous round, and it's going to be really hard for them with this somewhat squishy component on the right side of the map to get these eliminations and get out alive. It's kind of part of the game plan for Gray, but it's never a sure thing. Oh, the damage comes in. They bait Jay in. Nicely done, and a beautiful fadeaway with a walking cane to make sure that it was an easy pickup on the Carl, but there needs to be more done. Jay was only holding 2 stars.
Zarita Gang can afford only one mistake like that. They've got that blue star, and they can ride with that level of safety. But they're all the way backed up. Thankfully for them, they haven't given SK Kalalas that much utility headed into the end of this game. Christian, for instance, doesn't have a super, nor does he have a hypercharge. He's been placed on a much more difficult lane versus Prozzy, and here comes the burn. Christian not going to get hit. Prozzy looking for the damage there, if possible, with the Spirit Animal. It's not going to ring true. Hypercharge in. Prozzy taken down. Stars flying everywhere. Only a blue star to keep Zarita Gang in the lead. 10 seconds to go, though. Another one bites the dust. SK Kalalas running away with it with only 5 seconds to go, and no kill in sight for Zarita Gang.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, we're getting 35 sets of Brawl Stars today, folks. I'm going to be real with you. It seems like that is exactly what this region loves to produce for us. Great bounce back from SKC, and they play most of that last round from behind. It's an early hypercharge pop by the Gray just for the raw stats, and later a dimensional door popped to get in and close the gap. It's one bell shot that ends up, though, deciding that particular round. Close margins indeed, but we have now a tied series.
That Gray can really be a game changer. Just come in at the last second, turning things around. And as you mentioned, Uber, I also feel like we are going to see some more sets coming out of those two teams. But this region specifically, we had 3-3-2s last month already. It's just one of the closest regions overall. Now looking here at the stats, not as close. Ready?
Not really, though. I can't help but feel like Zarita Gang were robbed of an epic comeback there in game number 3. SK Kalalas SA ran away with those last few stars after Zarita Gang, I think, had some pretty good development in the later stages of the set. They managed to not just get the blue star, but hold onto it, which was more than we could ask of them in game number 1. Game number 1 was just all SKC. Come game number 2, though, Zarita Gang really did start to put on the pressure, and we saw like a misplay there from SKC, particularly with that Gray pull, but now we see the long pull out, and check out this last play from Christian. Got the kill, we see another one out from RHZ to eliminate Jexer, and the rest of that was history.
I mean, I'm pretty mind blown by that. Look, I don't want anybody to maybe have a negative impression of what we saw there. Like, I know Exec has like 30 DPS, but he was constantly healing the Carl. That's a Byron that really is very much on support duty as a heal bot for most of that game. But the problem with this is that he cannot develop his super when he's doing that healing. And that's obviously a huge part of Byron's offensive kit. It also gives him the capacity to flip some of those all-in engages on their head, like if a Gray jumps in. So yeah, you've got to mix a bit of damage in with that healing, Sunny, and make sure you have good impact over the game. But let's get on the gem grab, I guess.
Gem grab, and it's your favorite map, Uber, just for you. We put that one in to make you happy. Gem Fort, one of those maps where you really just want to hold on to mid control for as long as possible. Hank could come in here, as well as a Buster once again. Just a lot of tankiness to just rush into mid and make sure to keep holding on to that mid control. Now, as a gem carrier, the most pickup roller as the gem carrier on this map has been Janet. You feel like she's going to be banned out here already?
Let's see. I mean, we're going to get those bans in just a few seconds here. I think Lumi is definitely out of the question. Gemfort, in terms of a brawler that I would like to see here, though, I want to see like a Finks played here, personally. I think it could be so strong in those bushes. I think you can shut people out of mid. It's not one of those that I expect to be like a popular, like, primo pick, but it's one of those that I would just like to see because I find it entertaining on this map in particular. Uber, you were also looking forward to this map in particular, like when we took a glance at all the maps that we had up in the order today.
Yeah, look, there's a ton of options that are still really good here. We've seen teams like try and work like the Max Gene comps on this map before, the classic looks. Tara is banned because obviously her gravity, especially on the hypercharge, is very big and about the same size as that middle part of the map. So Mo comes in with an increased fire rate, still pretty anemic sometimes when he's playing the poke game and doesn't have that super up, but already Zarita Gang have said, when we need to go in, if we are behind in this game, we have a great option. The tip of the spear would be Mo in this setup. But there's a couple other brawlers that are great. If you want a control brawler, Lou is an option on this map. Again, you're thinking about a star power, or rather a super, that, covers up the gem well. Chester obviously is amazing within the confines of the gem fort, but also is a very reasonable side laner to push up, get aggressive with. And that, again, that hypercharge is the best of all of, the super effects that Chester has at his disposal. So it's a really devastating nuke in this game. If you can land it, you're in for a good time.
And it's a guaranteed bomb. That's like one of the most important things about Chester's kit is that you have the bomb that can break walls, and in many cases we've seen him used just for the fact that he has that wall break. We'll see Carl come out once again. Could be good for getting position. You have high damage. He basically does it all. I don't think when you pick Carl, you're necessarily thinking about like the utility that you're bringing or the matchups that you're facing. More just that he's such a strong brawler at the moment. But into Zarita Gang, what is your counterplay into Mo? I expect SKC are thinking about saving that for their last selection, because Mo has received like a pretty decent buff. He was quite weak before. Now he has better reload speed, which was one of the main things holding him back. I think he should get that aggression that allows him to get into mid, go under the wall and get that stun onto someone that he appears under. But Surge appearing is definitely a less frequent one. He's fallen off quite a bit recently.
Mo also now has the ability to decide where he ends up with his super. So it used to be just a straight line with a defined travel distance. Now he can actually be more selective with that, which is a quality of life buff that means that you can be way less predictable, I think, in some of those situations, and also, just be more accurate when you want to land your super, because again, you've got a bit of a wide turning circle when you're inside the digger form. Mo is unbelievable on this map. I mean, very, very good. The hypercharge, of course, allows him to, have 8 mines active at any one time, basically canvas the map. I think like against the Carl, it's hard to know what your opponents are going for compositionally, because like you mentioned, he's just so generally good. He's a brawler that works well in so many phases of the game. So SK Kalala's draft 2 strong mid-range brawlers with with a thrower that is almost always going to be very long range. Whether you have gem well control, whether you don't, the Juju's going to be relevant. And obviously with the Elementalist shield, plus a shield you can give to Grigri, really tanky, soaks up a lot of shots, from opponents with like longer reload speeds, for example. If you can draw those shots out of Surge and leave him without sort of burst available to him, you're feeling like you're in pretty good shape.
And one of the toughest things to do on this map is like retake mid. A lot of times that's a death sentence. You've lost the game by that point. And Juju is going to be capable of helping take things back. But not if she gets pinched on the left side. Prozy's coming in from the left, and Jay is continuing to lay down the pressure up mid. I'm also curious as to what exactly is going to be meant to deal with the bow here, because I'm sort of pressed for what is operating at a similar range and similar damage to him. We'll see Exit on the right side also getting pressured out, but it's going to be tough for him to even approach.
I mean, you're losing both your side lanes, so just forget about taking mid for the time being. That's just not on the table. Because ideally, the Juju wants to be in one of these side lanes, but Mo and Surge are basically taking them up. REC is just losing out to the poke of Prozy, which has, been significantly, tuned down in effectiveness since Mo was first released. But like you mentioned, that fire rate makes him a little bit more annoying. Finally, there's some side lane control. Notice that Christian instantly moves in to try and take up here on the bushes, because it's the only way you have something that answers the threat of the bow.
Okay, well, mid belongs to SKC right now. They managed to deny super to Exit. He's only at level 2 right now, and they can keep appropriate distance from that right side. Christian's forced to back up, though, has to pop the shield, taken down. Brian comes in for number 6. Will that be his demise? It's determined by whether Exit can even jump on him. He's going to go for it. Brian pops off that shot towards Jay, but it's no issue. All these gems topple to the ground. It just means that Zarita Gang has a bit more time to take a breather before the next onslaught from SKC.
They at least have Christian set up in a side lane, so have very good range. Grigri, like I said, soaking up those surge shots now, right? Exik is a little bit uncomfortable, doesn't really have anywhere to go. Now they can move back in as Brian is already up to 7 gems here. Remember, 1 gem away is Zarita Gang out. Exik makes a dive. It hits hard. Here's the Mo dive. It's perfect. Zarita Gang, honestly, have every phase of the game covered with this composition. Now, They'll stay in the side lanes. Jay has all the room in the world to breathe. SK Kalalas are chasing their tails to try and get back into this game, but it is all but impossible. Brian will be utterly outranged, and Jay will be laughing all the way to the gem bank.
It didn't feel like SK Kalalas really had anything that could deal with the bow. I mean, he's dominating this entire time. He's getting hypercharges, he's throwing those mines down, impeding progress into mid, and just really no response. You have Surge also that can post up in mid. Once he has that super, like, can you really enter that central gate? Juju was not enough to deal with him. There were attempts, but when she was eventually pressured by that Surge, she had to obey. She had to back up and ultimately was still taken down with an approach from the right side. We'll see a different sort of rollout from SKC this time. They got that mid control early on, but now they're at risk of falling, with Brian falling and RHZ only being able to pick up 3 gems before they completely abandon hope of taking mid.
And the Surge is such a problem here. Having invulnerability frames, just getting stronger over the course of a longer game. Having a gadget that can really turn fights on their head in an instant. There aren't too many brawlers that can provide that 1v1 supremacy like Surge does. Otis used to be the kind of option teams will go for in this position, but obviously he's since been eclipsed from that role. Prosy tries to go in there, but it's a bit of a solo effort, and RAC is able to deflect him. Jay still has that lead, but a couple of gems have spawned since, and now SK Kalalas opt to leave Carl in the side lane and allow who's supposed to be their natural mid to move in and snap them up. So gem distribution is a little bit split here. It is a problem for SKC because Zeridi Gang do want to try and dive on individuals, and now they have 2 options to get a bunch of gems.
Well, they've got to fight through this Grigri on the left side. Exik is up to the task, and Christian's on low health without really much firepower to fight off Jexer. We'll see Exik now approaching from the top left, has that super ready to move, and plenty of range to jump back when Christian tries to return fire. On the right side, Jay and Prosy try to team up and get RHZ back along with Brian. They're forced into their own spawn. The pinch is looking pretty good. It's coming down like a vice grip, but they now opt to back up just a little bit, recover health, ammunition, and equalize the gem count at 8.
And here's the same problem though, Ready. There's still no side lane control to speak of for SK Kalalas. They just can't get into these sides of the map. They're trying to 2v1 Prosy, and he just says, fine, come on in. I'll let you overextend, then super now into your gem carrier, or at least one of them. That was the idea. Brian, RHZ in deep trouble now, and here it is. The gem distribution across Zeridi Gang left them too thinly spread. And eventually, a matter of time before Zeridi Gang come to call, came to collect, came to take this 3rd set of the series. Don't be fooled, folks. There's no shock here for SK Kalalas as Zeridi Gang once again chalk up a crucial win in this series.
We are seeing a new side of Zerida Gang, not just today, but this month. An upset in the upper bracket in the monthly qualifier. We saw SKC also struggle in that qualifier, and sometimes that just doesn't translate. It's like, okay, well, the qualifier can be a little unserious. Sometimes it means more to some than others. But Zerida Gang now have their chance on the big stage, and they are shutting down SKC.
I think it's safe to say that South America is a very stacked region overall. Once again, we see one of the World Cup contenders struggle today against a team that hasn't even made it out of the quarterfinals in March. It's absolutely crazy. And now in this one, it's even a 2-0 within this set. Zerida Gang takes over the lead in sets, 2-1 again. And yeah, the DPS speaks for itself here, Uber.
Absolutely. I mean, we talked about Mo, who, again, feels a little bit weaker sometimes in that non-digger form, but just the quality of life increases to that sort of rate of fire still mean that he's quite a nuisance. And there's not like a good long-range option that can answer it, especially when Surge has the tendency to just drag attention to whatever part of the map he's sitting on. And out of nowhere, all of a sudden, like this, Mo's just gone in. You have insane all-in between both your side laners. And when you can maintain this level of map control, when you are most of the time invisible, they don't know like if you're setting up for a dive on you here, it's really hard to come back from. I just, we saw the struggles of SK Kalalas straight out of the gates, and you've got to look back at the draft and wonder where it all went wrong.
I can't help but get flashbacks from quarterfinal number 1 here, though. We were in a 2-1 for Olympus Squads. Now it's a 2-1 for Zerida Gang. Both of those teams that are not expected to win. Now, let's see if Zerida Gang can actually make it a win. If they can move on into the semis, maybe even the finals today, it would be their first time making it out of the quarters. For SK Kalalas, it would mean that they have to say goodbye to their World Cup dream. Ready?
That'll be a tough one, especially coming off of a win last month. Have to be feeling fantastic about that. knowing also that you're in the upper echelons of the region, sort of a new entry to the top dogs in the region as well for SK Kalalas. So they got to find their strength now, find something comfortable, not let the pressure get to them. That would not be a good way to go, especially versus a team that hasn't won a quarterfinal in a monthly final yet this year. It would be huge for Zarita Gang, but I think this loss means a lot more for SKC than a win means for Zarita Gang.
I think that's safe to say. Heading into the draft now could already be our last set if Zarita Gang is able to close it out here with Hank, Kit, and Buster. A lot of tankiness banned out from SK Kalalas. Makes a lot of sense since they have first pick and they probably want to go with a bit of a more long-ranged options. It's gonna be Jean, so not really a glass cannon like the Mandiri Angelo that are banned out from Zarita Gang. We still have a Bell, for example. I feel like that could be a good option here, Uber.
Yep, on a home map as well. We've seen just how potent that she can be. Obviously, having the Gene option is great because you can still pull people through these walls. You can, sort of satisfy the dual purpose of either opening up the map or securing a pick. And obviously, Magic Puffs is very, very good for the sustain game. If you're expecting to take poke damage, like you certainly will against a Bell and Grey composition, you now have an option. But Zarita Gang have added long-range potential and the ability to pick people off with this Walking Cane to their arsenal. Pretty potent composition that doesn't necessarily have any hard counters unless you want to try and outrange them. But as you'll see, Zarita Gang once more have eliminated a lot of the natural predators to this Bell and Grey duo.
This is true. Have to also consider like what else is possible to pair up with this Grey here. I'm thinking like maybe a Meeple is a viable option here. RT is going to be a good way of keeping things at range and fending away anything that tries to get particularly close. Can make an excellent combo with Jean, especially if you need to pull something that's less than ideal. You can put the hurt on it. Brock as the final selection here. It's going to keep enemy from playing any throwers, really. You can also use that to break open some bushes if you just really need to. But isn't that great in mid-range? That's a primary risk of playing into this Brock. But at least he is quite flexible, because if he decides that he doesn't need to break open walls, he can just go for a jump, keep himself safe in close range against some troublesome final selection from Zarita.
This is about as, classic as you get for knockout compositions. All of these brawlers, we've seen so much on this map, and the last pick Piper is a spicy one. Obviously, when the map is not broken up, we'll say, it can be a little bit hard to find those sight lines. You have two of the most potent sharpshooters in the entire game on the Zarita Gang side of the map here. So, I like Bell, especially against the Gene, because Magic Puffs requires that there is grouping up here for SK Kalala so they can receive that healing. And obviously, Bell wants to discourage that grouping up at all if she can hit these shots. I will also suggest that both of these teams are going to be playing fairly safe until they have the ability to secure an elimination. And with Walking Cane, there's no guarantee of that. Magic Hand, if there is a hit, much more of a sure thing in terms of setting up a player advantage. But Freddy said, I'm expecting to see a more drawn-out, long-range fight, but Jay really wanted to engage here on all three of SK Kalalas. Maybe he didn't see him for the bushes.
Well, Pruzzy's got to get a kill over here on a Christian. Ends up getting it, but it's still just a trade. Exik looking for the final one. Thanks to Brian's Magic Puffs, RHZ is no longer one-shot by the Piper. So it's really going to be Exik's goal to just get a hypercharge here. It looked like the mentality from Zarita Gang was place this Grey on the right side early game, get that hook going, break open those bushes. Of course, they succeeded at that, but I think the thing that doesn't really need that much of a mention, but just to clarify, would be stay alive as the Grey. Don't force your teammates to fight a 2v3. We'll see Exik get some value here, and now he's out. He has wall break if he needs. He can jump away. If he needs that too. I don't anticipate they'll run that Grey in the same position because I think they got what they need. But whoa, okay. SKC now approaching the other side. This is going to be a surprise for Zarita.
Again, they just really want to use the bush cover, I think, to try and have early cheese and early stealth play. Vengeful Spirits also being popped there. Okay, Brian, serious about trying to find that extra damage. But now Super's developed for Jay and Exik here. Exik went into the gas, so not to give it over to anyone else. I like to play through the dimensional door. That's the guaranteed pick. We could have sort of mentioned earlier on, when you have a Walking Cane and the door to back into, you can set that up. We haven't even gamed though, as Bell gets taken off the map here for the Zarita Gang side. So now they don't have the chance to litter the map, with potential gadget deployables, or also have something that punishes grouping up for these Magic Puffs.
Exik is able to jump in here if he needs, but he's going to opt to break things open as well. That's sort of an investment for next round, so they're very intentional about making it to that next round. but they're going to have to get some value here and now. Jay might have the chance to charge up another gadget here, but he's got to stay alive, taken down by the smoke from Brian's attack. Now Exik is giving it everything he's got, gets the teleport to avoid that pull, but it doesn't even matter. Piper does nothing in close range. It's going to SKC.
I do feel like the Piper last pick here for Zarita Gang was a little bit risky. It felt like a bit greedy. You already had great long-range pressure. You could have considered going for a brawler that maybe offered a little bit more on the utility side of things, or, like more, consistent ball break. Either way, opening up the map also made Zarita Gang highly susceptible to just the constant poke damage that comes in from Jin.
So far, pretty stagnant as Zarita Gang and SK Kalalas are just looking for their first bits of control. A bit of a gadget exchange on the top side. Exik also looking for the value, but denied at every turn. Not that aggression that we saw in game number 1, where both teams are rushing down the sides. It's quite inconsistent, and I think they felt that. Wow, what a shot from RHZ. Exik punished for stepping too close to the guy. This should be a 1 round for SKC at this point, since they are most likely to win this 3v2.
Man, they just double tapped him into the Shadow Realm. Tough to come back from those. A little bit of an overstep, and so far the Pipers looked more of a liability than a boon for this Zarita Gang lineup. And here comes SK Kalalas clawing back into the game. Great round win here, and moments away from the set take as well.
The approach up the left side this time, and SK Kalalas have opted to take the right. Our typical east versus west setup here. And sort of the same approach as last time. Not even a gadget from RHZ that time. He knew he's not going to be hit by that hook from Jay. We'll see a mark from Prazi on a Christian. That's actually quite deadly. The health is one of the main things that RT leverages as his strength on this map. But still, just slow-paced, consistent. The goal here is to earn abilities and maybe get an early pick on an enemy, but really just to get yourself some utility from when the poison actually forces people to fight.
And that mark will never leave Christian. So always now something to be concerned about. He may as well be a 5,000 health brawler or thereabout. Because obviously the damage increase, you can just subtract that from his overall health. So not the end of the world. Put someone like Piper's footing in terms of overall health pool. And hey, no big deal. Procy gets taken down here. This is dominant from SK Kalalas. Jay knows it is cooked. What a quick set here for SK Kalalas. Looking amazing on knockout. Again, happy to handle this, in theory, oppressive firing squad from Zarita Gang. Nicely done. They hold up in the heat beautifully.
I think Zarita Gang leveraged quite a bit of their strength from the draft, and then when they once again tried to do that with their brawlers, they came up empty-handed. I think SK Kalalas pretty much outskilled them here. I think they also just had a better comp as well. Zarita Gang tried some creative stuff, okay, we'll put the gray on the right lane, break open the walls. It just didn't work. So come set 5, they're gonna have to have the better draft.
Second quarterfinal, second time we go into set 5. Crazy what's going on in this region overall. Uber, what do you feel was going on in SKC's head coming into this knockout set?
Yeah, look, I mean, obviously they're worried about their Brawl Cup, stint. Right? It's tough here to play in this region because, I ironically kind of say, they have an easier matchup to start their run. But then I sort of qualify that by saying there aren't any truly simple head-to-heads because all these teams have shown the ability to play. They've shown the ability to play very competitively with each other. That was the double tap from RHC. I'm pretty sure I just, had to have a moment there. Pardon me. But so far they've handled themselves really well in knockout. I think the draft was much more reasonable from them, and I think there's just a moment. Don't want to harp on it, but a little bit of cockiness. I don't love the Piper last pick there. I think you already have plenty of what she offers to your team in your draft, and you can think to go elsewhere with that. Like I said, a little bit more utility could go a long way, but I think on the individual level, we just saw the SK Kalalas guys have some real shooters there. You can't deny that they, on an individual basis, are able to shine there, Sonny.
Heading into hot zone now, it's the last set that we're going to watch between those two teams. As you mentioned, Uber, for SK Kalalas, the dream of the Brawl Cup still lives to see another day, to see another set at least. Zarita Gang is still going to put everything up against them to make sure SK Kalalas' dreams is over here already. Now ready? Zarita Gang or SK Kalalas, if you could do your vote again, who would you vote for?
I would choose SK Kalalis again, and then I would do it again and again. Like, genuinely, I think that is quite interesting that it's made it this far. But I'm very confident in SK Kalalis. Now we're gonna find out whether like that is forgotten by history or whether this is like known as my greatest fumble in about like 10 minutes here. I think really Zarita Gang like draws their strength from getting an outdraft. SK Kalalis, SA are just as capable of a team in getting the draft. They can also get the skill diff. I just think that they have more in their arsenal. But at the end of the day, some of these drafts have felt like a bit of a coin flip who takes it.
Yeah. We didn't love like what we saw in Brawl Ball from SK Kalalis, for example. It just felt like a really weak draft, and you could say the same, I think, about our gem grab game mode. Poco, at the start of the show, we said, why we're not sort of seeing him? Feels like he's been a little bit overlooked, maybe slightly eclipsed by some of the other options, but still, on a map like Dueling Beetles, where a lot of it's about sustain, a lot of close quarters fighting, that hypercharged super that you can, deploy to give that overshield is really important in those clutch situations. And again, having, that sort of, having a gadget on a short cooldown to be able to throw that healing out or even to cleanse adverse effects is going to be really important. But Hank feels like he's kind of built for this map, can absolutely develop bubbles from behind his safe walls and simply only has to step up a little bit further. And if we're talking about sustain, those fish torpedoes do a great job of keeping Hank in the fight for longer.
He'll have some serious damage out here. He's able to get damage through the walls, over them, whatever you want to call it. I think also that Zarita Gang are prioritizing taking away good pieces that SK Kalalis can use to build their comp. Surge is one of those that's going to get stronger over the course of the game. Into Poco, just, know what the Poco accessories are. You're dealing with high health brawlers. Yeah, you can get damage on them, but you're a very fragile brawler and you have pretty bad reload speed. So I don't know if he's going to be like one of the greatest things. He will certainly be able to get his hypercharge and get leveled up. I think Zarita Gang are going to need something better to deal with this Poco and take mid control, because neither of their selections are equipped for that so far. Low-key, like an EMS could work depending on what SKC go for here. No shot they go for the double healer though.
Okay, that is wild. We've talked about how we've kind of seen Berry go off the map. It's very clear what SK Kalalis are going to pick here to try and round out the composition. Zarita Gang know full well it's going to be a tank that will seek to make full use of that healing. Now, Draco's been banned here. Lumi obviously is off the table. Not that I would call her a tank at all. She's got about 6k health anyway. But like, you can go anywhere with this. The Meg is such an interesting pick. In the past, we've seen more Ashe, more Frank to combo with this. But now Meg, great option to bring in here. Decent range, of course. A super swing that can be fairly devastating, and a hypercharge that can further empower her. She's not someone you want to walk up on, which can be a bit of a concern for the Surge, for example.
That Barry, I think, is going to be the most annoying thing, because you have a lot of healing and not a lot of damage from SK Kalalis. Now, that's not going to be an issue if Zarita Gang don't have enough DPS. I think that we're going to see Surge struggle quite a bit into that. Barley is a good way of getting that area control. You're able to deal with the thrower. That's Barry on the other side. You have better reload speed than him. You have better damage. You have the ability to heal up your team. I just think that I just get this feeling that the Surge is going to struggle in the early game in particular.
All right, we'll have to see how that plays out here. SK Kalalis obviously do not want to have their Brawl Cup hopes derailed at this point in the day, especially after being your champions for last month's finals. It's still a long road for them, and it's such a competitive month. You may as well just wipe the circuit points off the board and start again, because the winner here in SA is going to be taking it all. Jay takes a face full of damage and obviously has the star power that allows him to be shielded near walls, but doesn't quite help him in the matchup against RHC, who of course gets a second life virtually after being knocked out of the mech. Despite this, SK Kalalis, a little early deficit in terms of percentage, but Christian will remediate that now, as JXCR might have been caught by a screeching solo potentially. It's unclear, but there's a bit of damage here from the Poco to add to the mix, plus that healing. It'll be pretty hard to take this Meg down.
Jay now pushing forward. He's got to find a target to get that bubble on, but it doesn't seem like anyone on SKC has issues getting away from him. And he's not being successful in hitting any of these shots so far. Brian even popping the hypercharge, which he's had no issue in getting. A big swipe from RHZ, and he's looking for the team wipe. That's greed right there, but I guess you can go for it. You're demeched, but my friend, you've just taken down every member of Zarita Gang.
Yeah, that tungsten toughness hypercharge is pretty absurd on the Meg. Basically, you can cover half the map with one of those super swipes. Jay, well, able to take RHC out of mech once more, but they had developed yet another hypercharge, all this damage they put down. That is going to be a problem. In the meantime, yeah, Brian with his screeching solo is able to hit people behind these walls, able to find yet another pick-off now, and Exing doesn't really know where to put themselves. RHC can't get back into mech. That's the boom, but Christian's going to come on in with the super now. Not enough, though, to deal with the Hank, but the damage is there for Brian. Poco stands tall-ish and proud. On this point now, as Prozy is going to be forced back and forced to bide their time. Another hypercharged super here from RHC, just not necessary as SK Kalala steamrolls the Rita gang.
It's too much health to chew through there. That Poco is staying alive, he's healing himself, and especially when your strategy is to pretty much run at them, especially with that Hank, getting up close and personal versus the Poco, you're going to be feeding him hypercharging, you're going to be giving him super. And like, his damage isn't really that good, but into Hank, for example, where Hank's trying to chase him down and Brian can just back away, he's got plenty of heals, and that's for the entire team, through walls, through any obstacle on the map, not a problem at all.
Brian he's having to fight the Hank solo virtually. So much damage available to him, of course, now with there being a damage component attached to that crescendo super. Christian here, there's a bit of AoE damage from the barley that can be countered out mostly just by the ice cream pools thrown down by the berry. Jay falls yet again. Christian now tries to make a pink cream road for RHC to walk up on now. Super does throw a swing out. Doesn't really affect JXCR that much. He's able to stave it off comfortably. But this is SK Kalala's being so hard to shift from the point. They are squatting on this property. Now forced to give it up and almost getting a halfway.
It took a hypercharge to flush them out of there. And I think SKC are going to be well equipped to get right back in here because Christian is ready with the hyper and the super to combine. Brian would ideally get that super. He can use the healing from Christian to get his super. Here comes double hypercharges out. RHZ now leveraging the super combined with the hypercharge for tons of damage. They've gotten everyone except for the pesky Hank, which demegs RHZ, but that's all he's really capable of over here. Still gonna fall to Meg's blaster, and on the left side, Christian does fall. There's a chance for Zarita gang to get back, but we're climbing past 75% for SKC.
That's a problem for Zarita gang. They've got to figure out a way around this. There's a bit of a power trough here for SKC until REC gets back into mech, which has obviously just happened now. Last call thrown out. REC going to be demech'd once more, but Christian able to throw these shots in. Brian just going to give up his life dancing on top of that Barley hypercharge. Knows that any extra percentage is going to be a huge bonus for them. Now Christian a little bit caught out of position, but can hyper super back into the enemy lines. And Jay has to fish torpedo to get the health back. And here comes Christian with yet another super being cycled. That's devastating. But SK Kalalas need to spend some time on the point here. That's been the issue. Exik, an absolute menace now, fully upgraded, hypercharge developed, ready to throw down with an extra rank up. And SK Kalalas need to put one more push together, but it's got to happen soon.
Comeback potential. Here comes the hypercharge in from RHZ. Counter from Jay. In comes Christian from the left. Brian couldn't even pop the heal off on the right. And we'll see Zarita gang take us to a double match point.
That is so nice from Zarita gang. And again, they do prioritize getting the Meg out of mech, even if they can't win a fight off the back of it. They're coming back into respawn. Meg is not able to resuit quickly enough to actually be a factor in that next fight. So it's like every other fight, the Meg is not at full strength. And they're not feeding her that super while she's out of mech for free. Jay is actually, giving up their life on Hank in order to get this D-mech with these big amounts of burst damage now. RHC has to be a little bit more careful.
Okay, so how is he going to approach this? He's getting plenty of support and heals from Christian and Brian at the same time. They're being forced off the point by Prozy. If he's able to just shoot at these chokes, it's a great interaction for him. Here comes Christian, denied by Jay. RHZ demech'd, but at least it was a fair trade for him. We'll see Brian also feeling the heat from Prozy, who's locked down this point. I mean, he's getting so much damage. It really comes down to Jay and Exik to stay alive, to even see the fruits of the Barley's labor.
Here's that every other fight vibe. You see that SK Kalalas can't really compete for the point now without their mech in the fight, and Jay's able to push up and get rid of Brian. I can't believe I'm saying this, Reddy, but there might not be enough healing from this SK Kalalas composition because Brian does not take the Da Capo star power. He can't just spam heals into RHC to keep that mech nice and healthy. And when Christian's being so aggressive, moving straight down the field, he can't easily heal the Meg either. This could be a problem. Christian tries to step up again, throws that super down. RHC at least gets the damage he needs to touch the point, but Zarita gang is so far ahead. SK Kalalas might be in trouble.
I'm actually getting a little worried for Zarita gang at the moment because we saw Prozy actually use that hypercharge and super to keep SK Kalalas back in spawn for a little bit longer, when most of the time that's actually like a free take of mid, and they could not need that any more moment than now, with Jay on the right side, low health, taken down by Brian, and SKC soon to eclipse Zarita Gang's percentage.
They couldn't get a DMAC on RHC either. Ready, set, just not enough pressure on the mag. Here comes Christian coming forward. Okay, good moment for Zarita Gang to get back into the match. RHC now will be forced away by the Barley hypercharge, but does take Jay on their way out. Christian, that is a massive hit. Able to bring Exic out of the game now, but it needs to deal with the Barley. It's a battle of two throwers, and Christian needs the durability. They can't stand on the point right now. This has allowed Zarita Gang to get into a lead. Now, finding 90%. Last chance saloon for SK Kalalas as they step up, and it's another hypercharge. Sweet swirl from Christian to get SK Kalalas back into the game, but Exic's a problem again. RHC deleted. Zarita Gang will claim the series in advance, dashing SKC's hopes of a Brawl Cup appearance.
It started in the quals, and it continues into the quarterfinals, and now the semifinals. Next up, the Executioner's Axe is coming for BC Gaming. Potentially another team whose Brawl Cup dreams they can turn to ash.
You know, coming into set 5, I saw a lot of parallels between Olympus Squad's run and Zarita Gangs. Both were in the lead 2-1, and both look like they're losing. SKC had the match point already. The ticket through the Brawl Cup was basically already in their hands, yet they're losing. So in the end, they're out of the race of the Brawl Cup. It's only going to be BC Gaming still in so far. They are in the semis, and they're now facing off against Zarita again there.
Wasn't just wrong. I was wrong several times because I said that would predict SKC numerous times going into that set 5. And to my credit, they were actually looking pretty good heading into that match point. But we saw Zarita Gang fire back. They had better control. I think one of the greatest things that they managed there was keeping the pressure with that Barley. It took a moment to warm up, but they managed.
Can you just put it away?
Oh my goodness!
Yes.
Okay.
Why
That's
did you
crazy.
do that?
Imagine being 0 for 2 in predictions so far. Definitely couldn't be me already. That's for sure. That's what I'm focusing on.
I tried to bet on one of the underdogs. I bet on the wrong one, clearly. Well, at least I got Kenny back after the break, so we can suffer together and cry together. But it's all right. At least the chat was right? They also bet for SK Kalalas, I think. So
right.
True, they're still right, even though they predicted wrong. That's just how it works here in the Brawl esports scene. But yeah, we're heading into Loud versus Cross Gaming next. We get a little look at the bracket.
Don't ask me who's going to win. Don't ask me who's going to win. I don't want to talk about it. Because it's just, this region doesn't make a lot of sense. Loud have also been a little bit underwhelming, I actually want to say, recently. So this is, every game is a trap game. For any team that comes in as a quote-unquote overdog, Loud obviously fell to BC Gaming in 5 sets in last month's semifinals, right? After a 3-0 comfortable round. So I want to see Loud start strong, maintain that pace throughout this bracket, because of course they're in with a chance. They could definitely be in Dallas, but we need to see this team be better than they have been yet this year, because this time, Sonny, they're on the same side as the bracket as Castle Brawl. Last month they had it easy. They didn't have to play each other necessarily until the finals, and neither of them really, managed to make it that far. So I'm looking very closely at that semi. We just need to see Loud cross this first hurdle first, and yeah, it's a sad story to see SKC out of contention for Dallas.
And as you just mentioned, both Loud and Casa Brawl still have the opportunity to go to the Brawl Cup. They could face each other in semi-final number 2. And we see it here. SK Kalalas now out of the race. We only still have 3 teams that are fighting for that chance. I'm really looking forward to it. And make sure to get your predictions in for everybody watching. Make sure to watch on the event side to also get the trivia questions, the MVP votes, to get the Pro Rank XP. Talking about MVP, ready? Who do you think it was?
I mean, look, I want to put this